Whoops, I just realized I had my mic muted. So everything I was saying is useless because it was just quiet at the beginning. What's up, Marino? What's up, Jamie? I wanted to make a quick disclaimer that I don't know Hypocrite very well. I'm going to call him LP because that's his name, right? Now, I don't like calling people by their YouTube names. I'd rather call them by their real names. Um, I don't think his name's a secret or anything. But I don't know him that well. I think I might have had some exchanges with him in DMs or on Twitter, uh, maybe in his live streams and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I know about him. He's like an acquaintance of a friend, I guess. But he's a YouTuber. What's up, Jacob? Um, but yeah, but I'm not trying to say with this video, I'm not trying to say he's a bad guy or a douchebag or anything, but he has some really bad takes. And yeah, let me know if you guys hear me well enough or if everything's good. Um, but yeah, yeah, he's got some really funny takes, and I want to go over it. It all has to do with sex and male female relations. It's kind of weird how much he puts into that, and with his takes, and how it's not how much, it's like how much fervor he has for it, I guess you could say. He talks about it a lot. What's up, Jay? Um, hey Tiff. Yeah, but he talks about it a lot. If you watch his videos, what's up, Devin? What's up, Michelle? All of his videos are pretty much about the same topics. You know, he's been doing this like SJW anti-feminism thing for a long time, and I get it. It was popular a while back. I was into it. I was watching a lot of anti-SJW and anti-feminism stuff, but you know that got old. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's a one battle, but it's a battle that's just done. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really see much of a battle with that anymore. It's not as prevalent as it used to be. It's on the downswing. And you got these people making videos about Marvel Comics, and it's like, well, how long are you gonna bitch about Marvel Comics before you just give up on it and say, you know what, I'm just not gonna buy Marvel Comics anymore and not talk about this anymore and go to another hobby. I used to collect comics. I used to collect specifically Marvel Comics. I love Marvel, and this whole SJW thing started taking over, but that's not really what got me to stop collecting comics. I guess it's part of it because the writing just started sucking. And then what did I do? I might have made one video. No, I don't even think I did. But I just said, yeah, I'm gonna stop collecting comics like 10 years ago. The writing's starting to suck. None of this is enticing me to come buy more comic books. I'm just gonna stop. And that's basically what I did. I didn't bitch about it. Marvel can release whatever the fuck they want. I don't give a shit. But if it doesn't appeal to me, I'm not gonna buy it. You know, and that's basically all you need to do. But all these guys making videos, you know what they're doing? They're going out and buying these comics. They're supporting the comics. So it makes no sense. All right, but I'm getting a little off topic here. So I made my disclaimer. Let's start off with all right. Last time I did a stream about I Hypocrite was because he was interviewing David Silverman. I like David Silverman a lot. He's an awesome dude. Damn, I fucking like that came out all fucked up. I like David Silverman a lot. He's a cool guy, and I agree with him a lot. I think what he's a lot older than me, but I think, or maybe not, I don't know. But I agree a lot with him, and he's kind of a sexual person. I am to an extent as well, not as much as he is, but I agree with him on a lot of things when it comes to that. So, um, let's get to diagram number one. So on that stream and on my reaction to him, I showed a piece of data that he showed on the screen to David Silverman that I think he thought would help him, but it did not. So this was this like study he was showing that women who have more than one partner are less happy in marriage or more likely to divorce. But if you look at this, it makes no sense because one partner says it's a 74% of them said very happy. And yes, it goes down with more partners, but then it starts going up again, you know, and that makes no sense. That means like if you're a 19-year-old girl and you've already had sex with like 4 people by then, you should like looking at this graph means that you should start banging more people, right? To get to like 11 to 20. So you can raise it up to 59%. So by the time you get to 11 to 20 partners, you can get married and you have a better chance of being happy in your marriage. That makes no sense to his point. And in fact, it's men who more partners they have are less likely to report they're very happy, whereas women, it's the opposite, right? So this doesn't prove his point. And I read through this. I'm not going to go through it again, but I read through this, and even the person writing this says it's basically a negligible difference. Like, there's not much of a difference. I mean, look under here, it says all the purple ones say not statistically significant different from one partner. You know, so it's not, there's no difference there. And it's very small differences, so it's not a big deal. He takes it to be a big deal. It's nowhere near that. Then, oh, should I go to this now? Yeah, he sent me this, but we'll go to that later. So I'm done with that. I just wanted to show you that real quick. But this is one of the things he follows to say my ideology is correct because look at these stats. But these stats don't show that. Even the person writing this and doing this study is saying, yeah, it's not significant. You know. So now we can get to his video and see, and we can chit chat about it.
My girlfriend started an...
Sorry. If anybody wants to come in, let me know. Or if you can just come into the channel I'm in, just come in.
OnlyFans account. Cool. Double penetration. Cool. Lewd cosplay. Cool. Dudes jacking off to pictures of her on the internet. Cool. 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 I think all...
Now, I'm not gonna... It's funny how he cut it because he just wants to show you like, oh, look at all the things he's saying is cool. And I'm like... I don't know. He's not really... I don't think he's necessarily saying... I could be wrong, but I don't think he's necessarily saying that those things are cool. I think he's saying that he's cool with those things. I'm cool with those things. I'm not going to say all those things is cool. Lewd cosplay, I could give a shit about it. You know, like, lewd pictures in general are good. I like them. But they don't need to be cosplay. But in the end, I'm cool with all those things. I think iDubbbz is saying here that he's cool with all those things. Like, he doesn't have a problem with that stuff.
All of it is cool. Yeah.
But you can see in his face, he's being snarky, he's being sarcastic, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's right, I said it, it's cool. But, you know, I think he means more like that he thinks it's cool with him, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not something I care to, like, bash people for doing these things, or I think that people shouldn't do them, you know?
Hey, yo, kids! What's up? Remember when I used to be dope? Yeah.
We have a fallen brother.
Okay, so... yeah, let me go back a little bit. That part made me laugh. The way... hold on a little while.
Man down, ladies and gentlemen. We have a man down. We have a fallen brother.
Fallen from...
We have a fallen brother? Like, how... Why are you tied in the same category? Like, you guys don't even make similar YouTube videos. Like, you're not tied in the same category. He's not your brother. He's just another dude making YouTube videos. Like, it's weird. And I don't think iDubbbz is the kind of person who made videos like about this kind of stuff, like talking about having a girlfriend who posts, you know, suggestive photos on the internet. I don't think he's ever really talked about that. That's, you know, it's not his forte on the internet. That's not what he does.
Fallen from grace.
iDubbbz is basically dead. That's how it seems to me anyway. Think about it. What was...
So iDubbbz is basically dead, he said. He thinks this YouTuber who has 8 million subscribers, I'm going to show you right now. Here's his social blade, right? He has close to 8 million subscribers, right? This is what's happened since that Saturday that he released that video. He lost 20K and he hasn't lost any more since. So how is this fallen? 20K out of 8 million. He had lost 30K earlier. I don't know what, I guess it was maybe when he started dating this chick. I don't know, somewhere around here. And but if you look here from January, he gained 40, gained 70, gained 40. Like, this dude is gaining crazy amounts of numbers. And then yeah, he has a drop of 10K, well, altogether 20K. Big fucking deal. He's not dead. He could still come out with content, and I bet tons of people are still going to watch it. It's a very small minority of his audience that gives a shit about this.
The appeal of this guy. When I think about that, I land on two main things. The first is his Content Cop series, which...
He does it. That's the only thing I really watch iDubbbz for, is his Content Cop. The other stuff is kind of just like too goofy for me. But his Content Cop stuff is really good. Nothing... Well,
was him.
I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's follow this.
Very viciously going after other unsympathetic people, exposing their personality flaws, and then basically just insulting them.
Look at this smug piece of shit. Just sits on his bed.
It's just the thing. Content Cop sometimes about the person's personality, but the thing is, there's a reason it's called content cop. He's calling people out for their content, not for their personal lives and shit like that. He's calling them out for their content, not because they contradicted their personal life or something like that, you know?
Eating a bag of Cheetos as his intro.
So yeah, with that guy, he was talking about how that guy has a bunch of subs, but he doesn't, his content is nothing. Like, he's just sitting in his bedroom. He'll have a video of him sitting in his bedroom eating Cheetos. You know what I'm saying? That's not content. And then his content's pretty much like React videos that are pretty much ripping off the React brothers or whatever.
If you run a toy review channel, it's entirely
See, talking about toy review channels. He's talking about that kind of content.
necessary for you to have the most annoying voice on the planet.
Can I get Barbie?
Which is going to be really hard for him to do now that he's lost.
On top of that, it's humor. It's comical. It's not, you know, when he's making fun of, especially in that clip, he's making fun of toy review channels and how they make silly voices to appeal to kids. You know what I'm saying?
The high ground. In fact, Leafy is here, returned to YouTube to upload a 30-second video calling iDubbbz a cuck. And I have to say, you can watch iDubbbz Content Cop on Leafy, which is 30 minutes long almost, and I'm sure it's very devastating. I've never watched it personally, but I've seen a couple of the other Content Cops, and so I get the idea. I'm sure it looks bad for Leafy, but there's no way, there's nothing that he's going to say in that video that is going to come across worse to me than what he said in his own video endorsing.
Yeah, but that's, see, this is why this is funny. That's to you. You're a minority of people. Like, you're just one person. How are you saying there's nothing he's gonna say that's gonna make him look good to me after this video? And it's like, well, yeah, but that's you. Why should iDubbbz care in the slightest what you think? You know,
Other guys jerking off to his girlfriend.
Dude, you're a fucking cuck.
So no matter what
yeah, they keep calling. All right, so everybody calls him a cuck in this. iHip calls him a cuck. You heard Leafy call him a cuck, but that's not being a cuck. Isn't a cuck a guy who's cool with his girlfriend sleeping with other people? I mean, his girlfriend's not sleeping with other people. She's not even posting nude photos. That's the funny thing about all this to me. Not just why people would even care. If you're a fan of someone's content, why do you care what they do in their private life? I've never cared. And then the second thing is how, like, they're flipping out about a girl selling her pictures that are just suggestive. Like, they're not, it's like cosplay, but she's not showing her nude parts. She's not showing her genitalia. I don't know if she's showing her breasts. Maybe she is, but I don't know. From what I've heard, they're not nude photos. They're the same thing she was posting on Twitter, but now she's just charging for it. You know, it's like putting her Twitter behind a paywall. Like, I don't see the problem with that.
iDubbbz does now. Anybody can just call him a cuck and the conversation is over.
Nope, because he's not a cuck. A cuck is somebody, either somebody whose girlfriend is sleeping with other people or somebody who's like dominated by their girlfriend, right? And where do you see that? How do you come to that conclusion? But I see how he comes to that conclusion because he thinks the way he is the way every man is.
Because we all know it's true. We all know he's a cuck. He's lost the high ground and has no place to speak from anymore. So that's a huge problem for him, first off. And secondly, I think the second aspect of iDubbbz's former appeal is that he was able to pull off something that many people attempt to do, but few actually succeed at, which is to be ironically uncool such that you become cool. If you catch my drift. I feel like that is also going to be impossible to do when everyone knows you're a cuck. And
it's going to be impossible to do, right? Oh, let's look at this again. He only lost 20K. I guess it's going to be totally impossible for him to do that now. Like, what? It makes no sense. I think Hypocrite thinks the way he thinks and views people is the same way the vast majority of the internet does. And it's not true. It's a very small minority, you know?
In fact, all of your past actions, whether it's wearing like a stupid beanie with a little helicopter thing on top or having a 70s porno mustache, everything now that you've done, it has to be analyzed through this new lens of your...
Why? Why does it have to... What? How weird is that, guys? Oh my god. Do you guys find that weird too? Or is that just me? He's basically saying that now everything he does has to be looked at a totally different lens because his girlfriend's posting clothed pictures of herself on OnlyFans. Like, right? Not posting nude pictures. But maybe they're lewd, but not nude, right? But still, why would you look at him a different? I don't care that his girlfriend was doing porn and getting like DP'd and shit. Why would that mean that you have to look at iDubbbz at it in a different lens? He's putting out content. Just look at him by his contents. This is the thing. I think this just clicked in my mind. But this is the thing that we've all known, that like these YouTubers, at least there's like a YouTube culture between like a certain group of people who think that if you're putting out stuff, you can't be a hypocrite. You gotta do anything you say is like a declaration of who you are and this and that. YouTube isn't, that's not what YouTube is. YouTube is a variety of things. You could put out content that has nothing to do with your personal life, nothing to do with what your ideas are, but like, say I am religious, but I put out atheist content. Why would you not watch me? Because you're like, oh, he puts out atheist arguments, but he's religious. That doesn't make sense. I can understand where you're like, well, how would he know? But that, if my content is good, then you would watch my content anyway, right? Who cares?
A cuck, and we don't even know what is ironic or not anymore, because you've done something so profoundly uncool, unironically, that maybe you just haven't been cool this whole time. You feel me? So anyway, those are my initial thoughts. Now, people wanted me to react.
Yeah, what crazy initial thoughts, right? Calling iDubbbz a cuck. My initial thoughts is cuck.
To his video, so we're going to do that. We'll skip over the first part where he comes out and profoundly declares himself a cuck. I'm sure
not to talk about that. Calling people cucks is so fucking corny. God, when are people going to get tired of that? Now they've created a new word, simp. When are people going to get tired of using that? It's like the internet just fucking kills things. And I think people who kind of do that and like repeat these jokes, it's like, it's so corny. Like, get over it.
We've all seen it. And after that, he goes on to talking about people
you got nothing new
who are taking this too seriously. And he reads one tweet from somebody who is like, you ruined my life. And about this, I want to say that while
yeah, of course, if you know who this dude is, he exaggerates things. He's also comical. He does things for humor. So he picked the most ridiculous comment to talk about, because it is absolutely ridiculous. He wanted to highlight the ridiculous extremities that he's getting from this, from people who shouldn't really care. Like,
it's true that some people can be melodramatic when discussing issues like this.
That's beyond melodramatic. That's an understatement.
I think it's better to discuss it and be cringy or melodramatic than it is to not discuss it at all. I mean, as cringy as it is to say we're in a culture war here, we're fighting for hearts and minds, and most people...
We're in a culture war, guys.
This is an important takeaway, I think, from this. Most people will just go with the least controversial opinion, which in our degenerate postmodern society is
doesn't that say it all right there? In our degenerate postmodern society, that says it all, man. It totally does. It's how he views the world, and the way he views the world is got to be the way everyone views the world, and it's his duty to make people view the world the way he views the world.
Pro-sex work position. That's the less controversial position to take. But you see the likes to dislikes ratio on iDubbbz video, about 1/3 dislikes to likes. We are approaching a tipping point, okay? When that gets to a 50-50 ratio, the people on the other side of the fence are going to come running over to the social conservative side, because
if it reaches 50-50 ratio, it just means that one video was disliked like that much. That's it. The next video he makes might not have that same thing, It might have way more likes than dislikes. Like, he lost 20,000 followers. Ooh, that means nothing when you have 8 million.
Everybody knows fundamentally in their gut that being a slut is not a virtue and being a cuck is not a virtue. Everybody knows this.
Okay, but you don't have to live by virtues. Why is that a necessity? Everything you do in life has to be a virtue? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would people watch a movie? There's no virtue in that,
Whether they'll
you do things for enjoyment sometimes. That doesn't have to be a virtuous thing.
Say it or not, and people want to go with their guts. So once they see...
And in the end, it's kind of useless to say, because nobody said being a slut is a virtue. Nobody has said that. At all. Nobody said being a cuck is a virtue at all. Like, I've never heard anybody say that. So it's just, you're just saying things just to say them.
Society,
it doesn't make any sense.
At large, shifting that way, it's going to be a tipping point and a landslide. So it's important and great.
We should look at that video, actually. He doesn't have it in the description. Give me 1 second. Let me find that. I want to see what the ratio is on that now. If he's saying it's going to go 50-50 and then it's going to tip and be a landslide. I don't know about that. iDubbbzTV. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of iDubbbz Complains.
So we got... Now, yeah, it didn't even reach the 50-50 point. So, I mean, there is a lot of dislikes. The ratio's pretty big. But I'm sure on his next video, that's not going to be the case. Well, there might be some residual people from this one, but eventually the dislikes will start going down and down and down, and then it won't be a big deal anymore. But it never reached that 50% that he said it would reach, and there was no landslide, obviously, because it never reached that point.
To see people having this reaction, this is us winning the war in progress. The amount of people talking about this and laughing at this guy or shunning him or denigrating him for doing what he's doing, which is enabling an e-girl thought to show her tits and ass online.
Who cares if he's enabling her to do that? What business is that of anyone's? Like, that's his personal life. It's not anyone's business to tell somebody what they can or can't enable. You can give them advice. That's cool. You can say, hey man, you know, maybe you shouldn't do that. That doesn't usually work out, but it's his life. He could do what he wants. It's ridiculous that these people think that my way is the right way, and anybody who doesn't do things my way, I'm gonna shame you. You know, it's not, he's not pumping out dumb ideas. He's just saying what he likes. He's not saying that you should follow his example. He's not going out saying, hey, you should be cool. If you have a girlfriend, you should be cool with doing this. He never said that.
Line for money.
Edward, I don't know where you got the idea that I was cool. Do you think it was cool when I was playing?
He's actually saying he's not cool. You know what I'm saying? So don't follow my example, basically.
With anal beads? It's cool when I play with anal beads.
Right, so I've watched, I think, one of iDubbbz's videos that wasn't Content Cop, and it was an unboxing video where people send him stuff and then he opens it and reacts to it. And it was very, very boring, and I've never watched another one of his videos since. But I get the impression that that's what he's talking about here, where somebody would send him anal beads so he could open it on video and react, and it's haha, it's so funny, and we're supposed to act like that's the same as shoving the anal beads up.
No, you're not supposed to act like that. Did you not see him laugh? It was a joke. You know, this dude's laughing and he's taking it as if this is a serious argument. Like, what?
Up your ass for money. It's not the
but
same.
His girlfriend's not putting it up her ass for money. So why would you even... This is the ridiculousness of what that guy said and why he's treating his answer like a joke. Because what the guy said was ridiculous. Nobody's... I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not in her OnlyFans account, so I don't know what she's posting on there. From what I've heard, she's just posting practically the same stuff, like lewd cosplay stuff she was posting on Twitter. So is she putting the anal beads up her butt? If not, this whole part of your video is useless. Like, move on. Just be like, okay, so he makes a joke about anal beads. Next.
Name, Ian.
Do you think it was cool when I was running around in an oversized cop outfit? That was cool to you. It's because he's a hypocrite. He makes content cop and targets people, but he himself have girlfriend whoring herself, and he does nothing about it. What am I gonna do? Do you think I should just like take a shotgun to her head?
I've seen a lot of people make the content cope joke about this video, and it does just come across as such a cope when he...
Now, you're not getting that he's joking, that he's fucking making fun of these people. You don't get it.
He's making these incredibly limp-wristed arguments. Obviously, you don't blow her brains out with a shotgun, Ian. First, you have to get your homies to...
Yes, obviously. You didn't need to say that. He knows, obviously. That's kind of the point of the joke.
Together, gang rape her, and then you blow her brains out with a shotgun. And yes, for the humorless censors at YouTube, what I just said is a joke. I'm making fun of the fact that he would act like the only possible thing he can do is...
But he didn't act like that. He was exaggerating. Like, what don't you get about that? That's so weird to think. He thinks that's his real argument, like he's using that as a real argument.
Most extreme.
No, he's reading comments that he thinks are ridiculous and responding ridiculously.
Insane thing imaginable. Now, I'll be honest, if I didn't know anything about your girlfriend, what I would suggest is you give her an ultimatum, like, look, it's either me or the whoring, you choose.
I am not a big fan of video games where you cannot kill a prostitute. I like the ones where,
Oh, like Grand Theft Auto.
yes.
That was the hook for that game. That's really what
It
people
was.
Really
got
was.
excited about.
Yeah,
Throw the
there's
girl
no doubt
over
about
the-
it.
Inevitably, somebody would always say, you know, the great thing is you can drive down this alley and you can kill a prostitute.
That was the thing people talked about most.
Narcissistic, sociopathic, mentally ill that your girl a year ago about your girlfriend, and so I know that your girlfriend is a narcissistic, sociopathic, mentally ill, broken child of the internet. So what you
But all right, even if she is all those things, so what? What business is it of any of iDubbbz's audience who he is dating? It is zero. They have no business in his business. Right? They watch his content. They should just enjoy his content and not worry about, like, it's kind of like how Devin says two wrongs don't make a who cares. Like, say he makes a video on somebody cheating on their girlfriend, and then you find out he cheated on his girlfriend. That doesn't make his video wrong. It doesn't make the content of his video bad. You know what I'm saying? Even if he is a hypocrite, his video, the content he put out is still right. It's still true. If you know, or you could still agree with it, even if you don't see the person living in the way that they're saying. Like, none of this makes sense for anybody to care about that.
need to do is just dump her and move on with your life. Find somebody worth your time, bro.
No, bitch. It's time.
You are not the arbiter of who is worth iDubbbz's time. Everybody's different. Humans come in large varieties of thoughts. We're raised differently. We're raised in different places. We're raised in different cultures. We have different beliefs, and we should go by how we feel, like, not maybe feel, but what we know for ourselves, what's best for us. Sometimes we're wrong. Yeah, that happens. But when we're wrong, those are learning experiences. Like, if this relationship fails because his girlfriend's posting pictures on the internet, then that's a lesson he will learn in his life. You know what I'm saying? People learn better through experience than from somebody telling you something, you know? So let him have his experiences in life. Let him have his failed relationships, because those failed relationships will help him in the future learn how to have better relationships and how to choose partners better.
Time to die now. No, iDubbbz, you should break up with her. But I'm cool with it.
Yeah, but are you
Exactly.
though? I mean, how did you go from
Oops, I was going to pause and look what I did. He says, all right, well, he was saying, oh, but are you though? What, like, who are you? Like, how do you know he is or isn't? That's none of your business. I don't get why people want to put things into him and say, oh, but are you though? Because I'm not cool with it. I can't imagine how anyone else might be cool with it. Again, humans come in large varieties. We don't all come with the same ideas. We're not all bothered by the same thing. We all have different tastes. I mean, and this is obvious because look at Hypocrite. Me and him have totally different ideologies on this. We don't agree on this. You know, I'm happy in my life. I don't have a partner right now, but I'm happy in my life. You know, like, how is this an indication of what's someone's happiness? Relationships aren't the ultimate happiness. There's other happinesses as well. Relationships help, of course, and that's another thing that makes you happy. But there's other things that make you happy as well. But when you're in a relationship, both of you have to be happy. You can't have one person be happy and one person not.
No, iDubbbz, you should break up with her. But I'm cool with it.
Yeah, but are you though? I mean, how did you go from this?
You're a whore. You're a whore, just admit it.
Okay, well, here's an explanation of this. What iDubbbz is doing here is kind of a trend with the more popular YouTubers that was happening a couple years ago, where they would make these green screen kind of like video memes. They're like green screen memes where they stand up and they'll say different things. Filthy Frank did this a lot. And he would say joke stuff. You know, everybody's seen the thing where Filthy Frank comes on the screen with a big clock and he's like, it's time to stop. You know, that's what iDubbbz is doing here. So this is not a declaration of who he is. You know what I'm saying? It's a joke for other people to use in their videos and stuff.
You're a whore. You whore yourself out online. You whore yourself out in front of your family and your friends. You're a whore, plain and simple. Just admit that you're a whore and a slut and a harlot.
To that, and why did
And if you listen to that whole thing, he never said it was bad to be those things. What he's saying is just admit you are those things. He's not saying that's bad that you are or that you're against those things. So nothing there. Again, that's something LP showed that there's nothing there. There's no argument there. There's no reason to even bring that up.
Why did you stop her from joining Zoe's Ho Squad if you're so cool with it?
Zoe Berger is an infamous YouTuber / streamer, infamous for shaking her ass for money. She wanted to join Zoe Berger's Thought Squad, which she herself called that.
Didn't you want to join Zoe's Ho Squad? No, I never wanted to. I never wanted to join Zoe's Ho Squad.
It's really funny that
God.
she calls it a thought squad as well. Because she said publicly before to not shame sex workers.
People shouldn't make fun of porn stars.
You were supposed to come and hang out with me and Celestia. After you begged
This is such stupid
Celestia,
drama to be
I have the
showing
Skype
her.
screenshots.
And it shows nothing.
You
I'll
begged
show
her
you.
to come hang out with me. I didn't know her or you, but she pulled you a favor so that you could come hang out with us. You back out because iDubbbz tells you it's a bad idea to associate with me.
Basically, she sucked up to Celestia Vega,
Also false.
begging to be a part of Zoe's Ho Squad, but iDubbbz told her not to, so she
That's
teamed.
true.
Howdy, folks.
Say, oh, goddamn Ed. Hold on. Give me 1 second. So, that whole
Colonel
thing.
Sanders.
Oh, God, this fucking volume. That whole thing was a big nothing. So, they're assuming, they're making assumptions. They have no idea why iDubbbz didn't want his girlfriend to join this thing called the Host Squad, right? I don't know what that is. I don't know this whole drama. Maybe there's other information out there that LP doesn't show in here, because this is all I know about is from what LP is showing. But from what he is showing, it's telling you nothing. It's telling you there's no way to know why iDubbbz told her not to associate with those girls. They are called the Ho Squad, I guess. Maybe they think that that's why. Oh, don't join the Ho Squad because then you'll be a hoe. But that's probably not why. She ended up making an OnlyFans account on her own. So really, I think like Occam's razor, like simplest explanation is probably that iDubbbz was like, I don't trust those chicks. They're gonna scam you, or they're gonna, give you a low cut of the deal and take some of your money. Instead, since I'm good on the internet and have made tons of money on the internet, why don't I help you make your own website? Maybe when they were talking about this, he was like, no, don't do that. I'll help you. If you really want to do this, I'll help you, and you can make the money for yourself and keep the whole thing, as opposed to like splitting it with a group or something like that, and joining a squad. It's better to do it on your own. It's all your money. And all your fans is just for you, instead of splitting it with people. That makes total sense. Like, that makes way more sense than what they're saying. Which there's no evidence of him saying, oh, I don't want you to join them because, they're hoes. Like, that's they're just making that up and assuming that. Oops. And Brittany Venti, too, right? She's another one that says the same shit like Hypocrite. I always thought Brittany Venti was a troll. Like, she wasn't really the person she was on the internet, but she's, like, sunken herself so deep into the same stuff that LP does about, oh, guys shouldn't watch porn and this and that, and oh, sex is bad, that it's starting to think that that's actually how she thinks.
Zoe's Ho Squad.
And why do you keep saying you're cool with it?
Again, he keeps showing them saying Ho Squad, but what does that mean? Like, why are you showing that? Her calling them a Ho Squad doesn't mean that she thinks hoes are bad. That's just, it seems like that's just what people call them on the internet. And she's just saying it because that's the common nomenclature.
Instead of addressing a more pertinent question like, is this what you want? Is this what you want out of life? When you were a young man going through puberty and you started to get interested in girls and you had a crush on someone in your school, did you think, oh, I can't wait to grow up and marry her and support her in her career as an online prostitute? These are questions that don't even need to be.
What little kid does? I don't remember being a kid in school and being like, man, I can't wait to marry this girl. I never even thought that. I never even thought I want to marry this girl. I can't wait to marry this girl. I was a teenager. I wanted to bang every chick I could find. You know what I'm saying? My hormones were raging. Like, what? The last thing I wanted was to marry any chick that I was with in high school or in any school.
Be asked because the answers are self-evident, and that's why I think this is just kind of career destroying, brand destroying for you, because I don't know how you're ever
career explode. What?
going to talk to anybody ever knowing that those questions could come at you and you have no possible answer, because we all know the truth.
No, he has the best answer. Shrug his shoulders. So what? That's all he has to say. So what? That's what I would say. If I was doing this and people tried to come at me in the internet in a discussion and say, oh yeah, but you let your girlfriend sell pictures of herself in the internet, I'd say, so what? What about it? Like, how does that mean anything, like, of what I'm saying? What? Like,
you do real.
He doesn't even make videos. Like, he's acting as if iDubbbz was the biggest proponent for, like, trad life and shit, but he's not. He never was. So it's weird. It's not, you're not even showing him to be a hypocrite at all. Like, you've got nothing on him.
There are guys out there in private.
You got nothing on iDubbbz except, I don't like what you're doing. I don't agree with what you're doing. So now you should go away. Like, that's your argument.
Private right now.
So weird.
Backing off to your girlfriend.
Holy shit, dude. I understand what you're saying. Like, if I take my wife out in public and some guy sees her, there's nothing I can do to stop that guy from going home and rubbing one out. Although I will say, if I see somebody ogling my woman, I am going to walk up to him and say, hey, fella, what's the big idea? You trying to make time with my...
Oh, I would love to see that happen. I'd love to see that happen. That would be hilarious.
Girl.
I was hoping to laugh.
I'm still recording.
Oh my god, be quiet.
Well, you got something to say?
Don't do that.
But there's a massive difference between acknowledging that I can't control what some random pervert does in the privacy of his own home and
exactly
endorsing and encouraging those activities.
He's not endorsing or encouraging it. He's just cool with his girl doing it. He's not saying anybody else has to do it. He's just saying people are going to rub one out to my girl anyway. So, I mean, there's not much difference because people can see my girl. You know what? People can go on her Facebook. People can go on her Twitter and rub one out to her. You know what I'm saying? She has a social presence on social media. It's the same thing. What's the difference? Only people are giving her money for it. That's the only difference. Who gives a shit?
He's
good.
Okay.
She's smart. She's smart and she's playing with capitalism and saying, hey, there's a demand for people to look at pictures of me. So I'm going to supply that and make a business out of it.
Okay. In debate circles, they would call this an appeal to futility, iDubbbz.
But iDubbbz isn't in debate circles. He's not debating anyone. So who cares?
Oh, you can't stop someone from picturing your wife naked, so you may as well just film some interracial cuckold porn and upload it to the internet.
That wasn't his argument. And
this is really sad from somebody who calls themselves smart and has acted like they're going to give a claim.
There's nothing unintelligent about that. He's not in a debate. He's not trying to argue whether something is virtuous or not. There's no argument here. All he is saying is that he's cool with this. That's it. Why would he need to justify that to anyone? That's part of his relationship. He doesn't need to justify that to anyone. So it's so ridiculous, right? Like how they treat people on the internet, like treat everything as, oh, this is a debate. This is a debate. This is an argument. No, all he's doing is talking about how he's cool with what his girlfriend does and explaining why.
Clinic in critical thinking.
You're not going to...
It's opinion. It's not, right? There's no declaration. It's an opinion he's giving you.
Ruin my career, you dumb piece of shit. And I've shown you why you're not going to ruin my career. I'm smarter than you. You can't think before you speak. And I've never said this unironically, but I think this will be the first time I actually say it unironically and mean it. Kill yourself. Hannah, you are dumb. It is the exact opposite. This is a very important lesson in critical thinking. But I guess it's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, he's trying to show that, oh yeah, he's always talking about critical thinking, but he's not critical thinking here. But this isn't a critical thinking moment. This is an explanation that he's cool with something. How hard is that? It's like telling somebody you're really cool with this one band that they don't like, and then they're gonna say, well, give me a good argument as to why you're cool with that. You know, what, why? It's in my taste. I like it. That's it. That's all I need to tell you.
It's not a problem. You think these fucking retards would actually do a smidgen of research? Because, like, I did it, and I found the potential hypocrisies in what I say in the past, and it's pretty fucking consistent. The funding for the slut shirt is actually very, very low. Skanktown, USA, softcore porn all over the walls.
Like he showed his ass on the internet. That's probably more or just about as much as his girlfriend has shown. You know what I'm saying? And he's done that when he was younger. Like, so he is consistent, and he's showing you clips how he's never not been consistent on this.
I'm not saying that women should be sexualized or shouldn't be. I'm just saying that there is the market for it, so it makes sense that they would do it.
Yeah, that's great. That's a perfect way to put it.
He's
not endorsing it, but he's not saying not to do it. You know what I'm saying? He's not for or against it. It's people's choices to what they want to do with their bodies.
Say skank and slut, but never was that part of my argument. It's just flavor. It's just flavor. Like, in the future, I'll probably say slut and skank again.
You can tell iDubbbz is used to being on the
Yeah, why not? Everything he said there was perfectly legitimate to say.
offensive and not the defensive, because he's using his same formula of let me pour through your content and find stuff, except this time he's doing it to himself, which you'd have to be really nervous about getting called out for.
So see, here is funny because LP is treating this as like it was a debate, right? And he was saying, well, in debates, this would be called a blah 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 fallacy. Well, what LP just did was move the goalpost. The point of that part of the clip was to show how he has been consistent on his views on this, while you've been calling him a hypocrite for like 12 minutes in this, like halfway through this video, you've been calling him a hypocrite the whole time. And instead of addressing how he's showing you how he's been consistent, you move the goalpost towards, you could tell he's really defensive about this because he scoured through his videos to make, obviously he scoured through his videos. This is a video. That's what he does. He posts clips of other people's videos, and now he's doing it for himself because he's making his own point. And he did make his point very well.
If you took the time to do that, I mean, you can't sit on one hand and say, look,
because he took the time to go through his content to find things where he's showing he's consistent, then that means he's really bothered by this, and he's just trying to cope because, content cope. He's just trying to cope because you could tell it's really getting to him. Of course it's getting to him. A large number of his fans are saying fucking ridiculous, retarded shit about stuff they shouldn't care about when it comes to him. They should only be caring about his content. They shouldn't care about what he does in his private life. That's ridiculous. Of course it's going to bother him. It would bother me. I mean, it bothers me that people cared so much about this, and it's not even towards me, It's just like, I'm looking at the world like, what the fuck is wrong with people that they care what this guy's doing in his life? Look at my, some bands I like. I love, growing up, I loved Led Zeppelin, right? Listen to their music like crazy. If they did something that was inconsistent with my ideology, I would not care. I would still listen to their music and enjoy it. I don't give a shit what they do in their private life. And in fact, the drummer died of fucking being an alcoholic, basically. I'm not for people being alcoholics. I don't endorse it. But it didn't make me stop listening to Led Zeppelin music because, this guy's a terrible alcoholic. He died from it,
I don't care. I'm just cool with this. And on the other hand, be like, I rewatched 100 hours of my own content to make sure.
Like, say I got another one. Say I was a Motley Crue fan. I wouldn't stop liking Motley Crue because Tommy Lee started dating Pamela Anderson, a chick who poses nude. You know what I'm saying? And I wouldn't start being like, this is the fall of Motley Crue. Everybody's gonna stop watching them because they say we've shown this guy's a cuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? How ridiculous is that? But for some reason, people think they could be that way with people on the internet. It's almost the same thing. People are putting out a media. They're putting out content. Judge them, like them for their content. Their personal life is nothing to you.
That I wasn't a hypocrite before I decided to come out and defend my whore girlfriend, which kind of goes back to that thing I was saying about being ironically uncool. The cracks are showing, the mask is slipping, and iDubbbz is revealing himself to be somebody who is not nonchalantly cavalier about his image and his life, but actually very obsessed about it.
But nobody said he was cavalier about his life. That's something you're putting on him. He didn't come out and make that statement that I am cavalier about my life. You're just putting that on him. The thing is, iDubbbz was always pretty good. This is why this is such big news now, is iDubbbz was always pretty good at keeping his private life separate from his content. He would put out content. People barely knew much about him in his private life, except for things that he had said. So he never had like a drama before. He's been around for a long time, gained a huge audience. He's never really had any drama or thing like this happen in the time he's been making YouTube videos. But now he starts dating a girl who has a huge social media presence. So now a lot of the stuff, his relationship is kind of public. Anything she posts or does with her life, people are going to be like, oh, iDubbbz, are you cool with that? How could you let her do that? And it's really, you shouldn't care. You shouldn't care. It makes no sense. So now that's why he's talking about that image, but it doesn't make a difference because his side of it is still, he's not putting that in his content. He's only doing this because people flipped out on him. Besides that, he'd just be putting out his normal content, which, back to business as usual. That's what's going to happen after this.
Carefully managing every little aspect of it to the point where he would decide whether or not he's going to defend his girlfriend based on whether or not it would make him look like a hypocrite as opposed to how he actually feels about the situation. Very telling.
But it didn't make him look like a hypocrite. He already said how he feels about this situation from the very beginning. You actually sliced it up to say, blah, blah, blah. I'm cool. Blah, blah, blah. Cool, blah blah blah, cool. Actually, I think all of that is cool. You know, even though it was an exaggeration, I think his point was that he's cool with all that. Like, those things don't bother him. He doesn't get upset about those things like you do.
Indeed.
So he started his video with how he feels about it. Now you're saying, oh, this is indicative of how he really feels because he's only really defending whether he's a hypocrite or not and not actually saying what he feels. But he already did that.
But to say it's just flavor is not really a very convincing argument. Those words aren't just flavor. They're not just a flourish that you throw on.
Yes, all words can be those things. Yes.
A sentence like saying...
Just like you were saying, oh, we have a fallen brother. Are you literally saying he's your brother? You guys have the same parents? No, you did that. You used that word to add flavor.
They're denigrating terms. They're pejoratives. They're
yes, but they can be used for humor.
Insults, and that's why they're used.
Sometimes I call my friends dicks. I don't really mean they're being dicks. I don't really mean they're an asshole when I call them that. It's a joke. I'm joking around.
Used. And so it is hypocritical, and you can't just explain it away by calling...
No, it's not hypocritical at all.
Calling it flavor.
Nor is using those pejoratives. Those pejoratives were used in the case of people not admitting they are these things, or you could tell that a lot of them were for humor because he's laughing when he does it. Like, it's weird that, I don't know, I think, is this just me, or is I hypocrite just not understanding humor and using bad words, like words that people see as that for humor? I mean, I'll call people cucks as a joke all the time. You know what I'm saying? But really the joke is how people use that word. So my friend, like a friend will be talking about something with his girlfriend. I'd be like, oh, you cuck, as a joke. I'm not literally calling him one.
Heck, I'll probably even do it again in the future. If you're going to insult somebody for being a slut or a whore in the future, what does that say about how you feel about your girlfriend? I mean, do you respect your girlfriend or don't you? And
that's a terrible argument because you are using him calling those people out of context to say this.
It is a rhetorical question.
And why is her posting suggestive pictures on the internet make her a slut? She's not sleeping with other people. Words are really getting way too broad. When I was younger, a slut was somebody who was having sex with a bunch of people. Now it's just somebody who poses nude. So you're saying all models are sluts? Is that what he's saying? Every model on earth is a slut because at some point they've probably done an image that was sexually suggestive, right? So everybody who's dating models in the world is a cuck. Every model in the world is a slut, basically, is what LP is saying.
Because the answer is very intuitive at this point.
I don't know why everyone thinks that, like, I made a...
And if you've ever called someone a slut in your life, then you're a hypocrite for dating a model, right?
I stood on top of a hill and I proclaimed to all my loyal Christian followers, no porn shall ever cross my screen. No woman that I date shall ever...
Totally perfect point that he has never made any kind of declaration on his views on this. So it's weird for people to call him a hypocrite when he's never made any sort of declaration of how he feels about this topic.
Or lower her standards to the point of being half naked.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. My sort of assumption, my default position about other men is that they're not a cuck. Kind of like the whole innocent until proven guilty idea. So whenever you find out that one of those dudes is in fact a cuck, it can be a bit shocking. But I'm a lot more interested in this half naked comment. I find that really telling.
Why? We know what that term means, right? Like, why
woman that I date shall ever lower her standards to the point of being half naked.
Because I've seen some of the other people running defense on Twitter making the same argument that they've subscribed to the OnlyFans and that she doesn't actually show her nipples or whatever, which...
Yeah, great argument. Completely destroys you on calling him a cuck. 100% destroys you on calling him a hypocrite. 100%. Those people who were posting that and telling you, hey, she's not showing any nipples or stuff like that on her OnlyFans account, destroyed you, and you should have never made this video. Like, it completely destroys this whole video.
Which means she's not a prostitute, and like there's a...
And I'll tell you why. He goes into his line of thinking of this, and it just makes no sense.
Kernel of truth in there. Like, obviously there is degrees of hoeing, and somebody who does sexually suggestive photos without nudity is on a lower level than somebody who is spreading their ass cheeks for the world to see.
100%. Those are two totally different things, and there's not only a gradient of what you said, hoeing, but there's also a gradient of what, for each person, for each male, there will be a gradient of how much they'll be cool with that until they reach a point where they're not cool with that anymore, right? So somebody's dating a model who is fully clothed all the time. Okay, that's cool. I'm cool with that. Next level, a girl who poses suggestively but never shows any nudity. Yeah, I'm still cool with that. Maybe not as cool as I would have been there, but I'm still cool with that. It doesn't bother me. Then there's the next one, posing naked. Not so cool with that anymore. You know, I'm getting to a point where, yeah, I don't know if the balance in our relationship is going to last from that, you know?
But there's this weird catch-22 trap
and there's nothing wrong with that.
That iDubbbz fell into, where if he acknowledges that not showing your nipples makes it less bad, which he did, he's tacitly acknowledging that it's bad at all, which is why these...
But who cares if it's bad at all? Everybody doesn't... Humans don't live only by what's good. We do things that are bad all the time, and we're okay with it. You know what I'm saying? There's a balance to things. How bad is it compared to the enjoyment you get from it, right? Say you're in a relationship. Your girlfriend is in a job that you don't really like, right? And you don't like her being in that job, but she loves that job. And your relationship is fantastic. You enjoy each other so much, you know, and it makes your life so much better to be with this person. Now you have to counterbalance that, right? Is my enjoyment in this relationship that I gain from this enjoyment, how well we connect, is that outscaling me not liking what she's doing for work? If it is, you're an idiot for leaving that relationship. You know what I'm saying? So how much does it bother you that she has that job? If it bothers you so much that it outweighs the enjoyment you're getting from the relationship, then yeah, leave. Why can't there be a gradient to that, right? Like, why does it have to be, you're either cool with it or you're not, you know? Like, you know, if you're not cool with it, then you got to leave the relationship. But if you're receiving so much happiness from the relationship, it should overcome the unhappiness that you're getting from her being in that job.
These coon brains, these defensive coon brains.
These coon brains. Oh, this guy's such internet fucking,
usually won't do that if they're thinking straight, if they're not in the mid.
I was thinking straight right now, and I just explained to you how there's a gradient to this. There isn't just like, oh, by admitting it's not that bad, you're admitting that it at least is bad. So what? So what? Things come in balance. Good and bad is a balance. People who do like eat a cake or something, you're counterbalancing your enjoyment with the damage you're going to be taking from eating so much sugar, right? Maybe you shouldn't eat that cake, but maybe you could find that balance and just eat half of a slice of one and be like, okay, if I eat half of a slice of one, now I've balanced the bad with the good, you know?
Midst of a frantic cope post, because they have to pretend like there's nothing wrong with anything, because otherwise it would be obvious that what they're doing is wrong, if even to a lesser.
But even to a lesser degree, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't affect anything, right? Just like, it's like percentages, right? Like if it moves something by 1%, you're like, well, that's negligible. It doesn't matter. So if it's your happiness level's at 100 and your girlfriend's doing something that drops your happiness level to 99%, who gives a shit? 1% is not that bad. You can balance that. But instead of leaving that relationship and going to 0% happiness, isn't it better to stay at that 99% happiness? 99% happiness is better than 0, right? It's worse than 100, but not by much, right? And it's worthwhile, because if you leave that relationship, you're going to go down to 0, and now you're going to be taking chances to try to find a girl that will get you to that 100% happiness again, which you might not find.
degree. And also pornography.
Especially depending on your age, right?
Pornography is a slippery slope. You know that people get bored and that they're constantly escalating, constantly looking for more graphic, more explicit, more hardcore content. So if Ian were to explicitly say, like, look, I talked to her about it and I said, you can do this as long as you don't show nudity, and so I'm not a cuck because she's not showing any nudity, not only would he appear weak for saying that, and I mean in his own mind.
Why would that appear weak? I don't agree with that at all. I don't see how he comes to that conclusion, why that would appear weak. You say, this is the thing. It seems like LP feels like when you're in a relationship, you should only think about yourself and your own happiness. Maybe I don't know if that's for the male, like he thinks it's the male who should be I don't want to straw man him, but this is what it looks like to me. My opinion on this, it seems like it might be just the males. Maybe he thinks that women should just give men happiness and the relationship only works if women are making men happy. I don't know if he's saying that or if he's saying all individuals should do that. Even women should just do what they're happy with, because that would never work. There's got to be a balance in between. Like, that'll never work like that.
In his own mind, he's like, I can't act like this was
and each person should pursue their happiness. So if you have a relationship where only the male is happy and the woman is only working towards making the man happy, then the woman might not be happy. And then why would she stay in that relationship if she's not happy? What if she's like an adventurous soul and she wants to go out and go hiking and skydiving, and this guy doesn't like that, and says, no, you can't do that, right? Then she's not going to be happy.
Compromise for me because that'll make me look weak. In everybody else's mind, it's like you're a cuck and there's nothing you can do to salvage your reputation at this point. But in his mind, he's like,
there's nothing he could do to salvage his reputation at this point. How funny is that? I don't think iDubbbz's reputation was hurt at all, bro. If you want to do the percentages of 8 million subs and losing 20,000 subs and you want to do the percentage of that, go for it. And that's how much reputation he lost. That's shrug my shoulders and move on and continue my content and raise my channel again.
Can't do that, so I just have to say that I don't care if she's getting double penetrated. It's all good. That way I won't look weak.
He was exaggerating. I think he would probably care about that. Well, he didn't even say that he didn't care about that. He was saying at the beginning, double penetration, I'm cool with that. He wasn't talking about his girlfriend.
Weird rationalization that the coon brain...
But even if he was cool with it, then he's cool with it. Fuck, who gives a shit? Why is that anybody else's business?
Does. And like I said, she'll probably eventually escalate to doing the nudity and whatever else at some point anyways, and so he would just
That's what you're saying, but you don't know that. He doesn't know that. She doesn't know that. Maybe she knows that. It's possible, but it might just happen without her knowing that it's going to happen later on. But he doesn't know that. You don't know that. You're living by, this probably might happen, so let me just end this completely and move on. Like, that doesn't make sense. You got to take chances sometimes in relationships. You got to try to find a balance that makes you both happy. If they're both happy with her doing this, then what's the problem? If it goes past that, then that's the point where you're like, oh, you want to do nudity? I'm not cool with that. Let's discuss that and decide here and now, when you decide that, whether I should leave this relationship or not. There's a thing that, like, people look at their past relationships and they only see humans like to look at the negative. The negative sticks out to them. So you see it as, it ended, so it's shit. Those relationships were a waste of time. They were terrible. But really, all those relationships had good moments, and you're not looking at those good moments. Enjoyable moments in your life happened with those people. And you could focus on that. You could focus on the learning experiences you had in these relationships that helped you, learn how to choose better partners, choose, that are more, and better, I mean better for you, not better in general, because there is no better in general. Everybody's different. But yeah, and experience on how to maintain relationships and how to build this balance and compromise between you to try to optimize both of your happinesses in that relationship.
Setting himself up to look like a liar.
Let me have my hope, all right? I want to believe he's too intelligent for this. Intelligence has nothing to do with it, but I will say this. If you want to...
intelligence has nothing to do with this. This is more personal preference.
Retain hope that I'm intelligent. This is the most intelligent thing I've probably ever done, is revealing this.
You want to know what's really funny is, because they don't know what's in iDubbbz's mind, how does LP know if iDubbbz just really thinks this chick is hot, started dating her because he just wants to bang the shit out of her until you know, he gets bored of her and finds someone else he wants to bang the shit out of and then dump her, right? I know that's kind of an asshole move, and he's not going to come out in a video and say, hey guys, actually, I'm just dating this girl because I want to bang the shit out of her until I'm done banging the shit out of her. You know, he's not going to do that because he blows his cover, right? So this is the thing, is that there's multiple things that could be going through his mind about this, or what his relationship is with this girl. But these guys just want to assume the worst, you know? Which the other one's bad too, but I bet you any money if he dumped if what the story was that he dumped this girl and was like, yeah, I was just dating her because she's hot and I wanted to bang her, but you know, I got tired of that. I got tired of the veg, so I moved on, and now I'm gonna bang another e-girl. Nobody would be making these videos. You know what I'm saying? LP would probably never make this video. He wouldn't make no video criticizing iDubbbz. He wouldn't care. He'd be like, oh yeah, it's just some, you know, big YouTuber banging broads, whatever. You know, like, but no, it's because he automatically took the assumption that, oh, he's cucking, that he comes
that
up
I'm
with this.
okay with sex workers and girls being slutty. It has no
okay with that
bearing
too.
on my life whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the sooner you realize that.
Perfect way to say it. I don't care about those things because it has no bearing on my life. Me the same. I believe in freedoms and liberties, and if girls want to do that, they should be free to do that. But these guys want to do like mind control and be like, oh, we should shame these people so they don't do it. But it's kind of cultish mentality. It's kind of like religion. It's like, and I think LP's an atheist, so it's funny because it's like, I see this a lot where like people who were religious become atheists, but they can't escape those traditions of that religion. They don't believe in that there's a God anymore, but they still believe in those traditions, and that gets ingrained in their brains. They can't escape it. And it's like, oh, sex bad, sex bad, sex bad.
The better.
Of all the cope posting he's doing in this cope post video, that has to be the cope postiest. Obviously, it is affecting your life because
I just say, look, iDubbbz's eyes. He caught him on a good pause.
You're in a relationship with a girl who was weaned on getting attention from males on the internet and is so desperate for that she has to show her body to them.
How do you know that's... See, this is why I don't like this kind of content, because people just make things up. Yeah, she does all those things he was saying, but how do you know that she does that because she wants that attention, or maybe she just wants money? How about that? What if it's because she wants money? I don't understand why it has to be because she wants those things. But even if she did want those things, and it's totally possible she does, who cares? Let her do that. Why should that bother him? You know?
And
as
her
long
choice
as she's not doing something that lowers his happiness a lot. You know what I'm saying?
To do that, and your choice to endorse it has...
He never endorsed it. He's just cool with it. Being cool with something is not endorsing something. He's not saying this is something people should do and everybody should be cool with this. He's just saying, I'm cool with this and you should mind your business, which is 100% correct. It's the right thing to say in this situation.
A level of humiliation that I don't think you actually fully appreciate yet, but you will sooner or later. So yes, it does affect you. The person you choose to be with, the person you choose to love, affects you.
I wanted to talk more about all the shitty takes that people have.
Of course it does. It affects you. But like I said, there's a balance. There's no such thing as you being with somebody who's going to keep you at 100% happiness all the time, and they're going to be 100% happy all the time. This is the problem with humans coming in a large variety. This is why you have to make different compromises and balances. You don't want to compromise too much, but you don't want all the domination. You want to have a balance of compromises so that you guys can optimize both of your happinesses in the relationship and create a balance. Because if one person is less happy than the other person, most likely it's not going to succeed, right? Because the person's not happy.
And this guy that we're going to watch has pretty much listed all of what the arguments are for people who don't morally agree with the situation.
Elena.
Fucking ads. I don't want you, ad. I'm gonna block you so people don't see it. All right, hold on. Let me pause. Okay.
We have everyone can see what he sees for a few dollars.
That's to me, that's one of the most useless arguments. Who cares if everybody can see what he sees for a few dollars? In fact, if he's seeing it for free and other people have to pay to see that, he's the better off person, right? Because he's seeing it for free. It's his. He could do what he wants with it. It doesn't make sense. Why does it matter if people see something? Like, I don't get it. That's nowhere near a valid argument.
What exactly do you think I'm seeing? Do you think she's shooting fireworks out of her pussy?
Yeah, like what? It's
do
a
you
pussy,
think
bro.
she's screening the
Seeing
Matrix
it is different,
Reloaded
like,
down there? It's not a mystery. It's a
And on top of that, from what people are saying, this isn't, you don't even, he's making the argument anyway, but really all he had to say was, yeah, she's not doing that. She's not showing anything off that nobody else can see when she's walking down the street or going to a convention dressed in cosplay, you know?
Pussy, dude.
Or going to the beach, right? You know what I'm saying? Is LP cool with his girl going to the beach? If you guys go to the beach, are you cool with her wearing a bikini? Are you cool with her wearing a swimsuit, showing off her legs and shoulders and arms and, you know?
This is so disrespectful to your girlfriend, man. I don't know if you really thought about what
That's not disrespectful to her at all. That's
you were doing when you made this and uploaded it. I don't even know what to say. I mean, this attitude is endemic in our culture. This nihilism, this idea that there's nothing sacred. I mean,
well, first off, there is nothing sacred because there's no religion. Something sacred would have to be something religious. There are things of value. There are things that people care about and want to sustain, and traditions and stuff like that. But how can you explain something being sacred? How can looking at something be sacred, right? Like, I don't get it. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm not going to spend this video trying to explain.
But it is indicative of, see, it's funny because he's talking about what iDubbbz is saying is indicative of LP's mentality, but what LP is saying is indicative of LP's mentality, where it's like he thinks looking at a female body part is something sacred. I don't know. That's very weird.
A concept like the sanctity of marriage, people will just either understand.
But they're not married, so who cares? And the sanctity of marriage, I'm sorry to tell you this, but it's gone. It's been gone for a long time. Get over it. You know, like you don't really need it anyway. People can stay together if they want to. Marriage is easy to get away from. You can easily just leave a marriage. It's not. I know at one point it was like a cultural thing and a social thing that when you got married, people stayed together, even if they were miserable. That's a whole other argument, whether that's good or bad. And yeah, I'm not going to go into that now. But it's not like that anymore. We have huge divorce rates, huge in this country. People don't care about it anymore, and it's very easy to leave. So get over it. Sorry.
Stand that or they won't.
And then there's no special pussy. It doesn't become less valuable the more people see it. If that's
100%, he's right. It doesn't become less valuable the more people see it, yeah.
Case, my body and my person is the most valueless thing on the planet.
You say that, but I don't see you posting your cock and balls.
But she's not posting her vagina or her nipples. So so how is that inconsistent? Well, he posted his nipples. He's shown his nipples off.
It is a forever archive, so there's no
I love this guy wrote pedestal. What?
I regret delete all button. That's not quite there.
I don't know why this shitty point is being made.
Everybody knows
it's
this.
sort of like
Yeah,
from
it's shitty
2003. By the way, the internet, it's a forever archive. Didn't know if you knew, but when you upload something, it might stick around. This isn't done impulsively.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Someone's just gonna make an OnlyFans just on a whim? Didn't give it any thought, just thought maybe I'll sell my pussy online and see how it goes.
Yeah, I somewhat agree here. That's kind of a waste of time argument, although I do think there's probably people who don't put a lot of thought into it, who, you know, a lot of these girls are just not that smart, let's be honest. But I don't think it needs to be pointed out that the internet is forever.
And then future jobs, they might be a little bit harder to come by.
A little bit harder.
I think this is one of the most important opinions to highlight.
I think he said it in the argument himself when he gave it. He said it might be a little bit harder. You got might and little. Yeah, who cares? That's not much of a difference. But also you can make so much money that you don't even need a future job. You can just save it up and, you know, be set for life if it works out for you like that.
Because it really demonstrates
might be worth the risk.
Severe lack of real-world experience when you're saying that future jobs are going to be harder to come by because of an OnlyFans account. Like, if you think this affects your standing or your social credibility in getting jobs, You are so sadly mistaken.
Does this guy live in the real world?
I agree with iDubbbz on that. I think it will to some degree, but it won't be some huge degree. Do you think anybody who has nude photos on the internet is not working right now and they're unemployed on welfare? Like, obviously they have to be doing something, right? If they posted their pictures online, made money off that, and are not doing it anymore, then they probably have a job and are living right now, making a living right now, right? Oops, sorry, hold on. I hate when I do that. Sometimes my mouse double clicks and then it wants to full screen, and then it gets stuck halfway.
If you want to go get a job working at 7-Eleven, they're probably not going to care about your OnlyFans account. But any kind of job that has a modicum of respectability to it, where the brand gives one iota about their image, you're not going to come near.
But how many companies is that? That's not that many. I mean, you're not going to be able to work at Disney World. So what? But you might be able to work for Coca-Cola. You know, like, how often do you, LP, go through everybody who works at Coca-Cola in their offices, behind the scenes, marketing? How many of those people do you go through to find out if they have nude pictures on the internet so that you can call them out on it? You know, it rarely happens. They don't care to that much of a degree, depending on what job you're getting. If you're in a degree, if you're trying to get a job at a family place or a place that has a family image, then yeah, but then just go somewhere else.
People get fired for this shit all the time. Remember that, what was her name? Rachel Rapp or whatever, that girl who worked at Nintendo.
Here's that. See, he's putting the exact same thing I just said. He's putting the argument of the chick who got fired from Nintendo because she posted lewd images of herself on the internet. Nintendo has a family image. She could easily leave that. Now that she has Nintendo on her resume, she could easily go to Sony, she can go to Microsoft, two companies that don't have a family image and won't care. You know what I'm saying? Or she can go to any other job and apply. You know what I'm saying? And most of them will not care. Only places like Nintendo that has a huge family image that they like to maintain. Only places like Disney World, who has a huge family image that they want to maintain.
In Japan, and she was like a escort, and they found out and they fired her.
Oh yeah, but an escort, that's totally different than what we're talking about, posting images, model images like that any models do. Only she works for herself as a model. Like, that's totally different. I think Victoria's Secret models, if they decided not to be models anymore and went to go get a regular job, I think they'd be all right. I don't think people would be like, oh, but you were a Victoria's Secret model, we're not going to hire you.
Yeah, this stuff does matter, dude. I mean, holy fuck.
It matters. Yeah, this is the thing, is that for some reason there's no scale to this. It matters, but it matters to a small degree.
And I will also say, if you want to morally grandstand, one of the shittiest things that I think you can do
thanks, Chance. Sorry.
Morally is judging someone about what they did previously and not hiring them even though they're qualified for the job.
Wow, great argument, man. I hope that works really well for your girl.
I thought it was a great argument, and a 100% great argument.
Girlfriend when she's in her 40s and desperate for work.
But how do you know she'll be in her 40s and desperate for work? Like, you see how he just makes things up? Like, what? How do you know that? She's like in her 20s. She's got plenty of time to save up money from her OnlyFans account. How do you know that her OnlyFans doesn't blow up in like 5 years? She comes up with a winning formula on that, and it doesn't blow up in 5 years, and she's like really rich because she saved her money and invested it properly because iDubbbz helped her. And by the time she's 40, she's set for life and doesn't have to work.
Fortunately, it has nothing to do with morality and everything to do with the bottom line. And like I said at the start of the video, we are currently reshaping the culture to be more socially conservative than it currently is, okay?
But why? Why are you trying to mold society? That's not your job, dude.
Okay? There's two kinds of people in this world, simps and those who do king shit. So pick.
No, those aren't two. No, incorrect. You see, this super indicative of LP's mentality. He thinks this is the way he looks at men. There are only simps and only kink shit. There's nothing in between. There's no balance. There's no gradients of that. You're either one or you're the other. That makes zero sense. And this is a weird thing he has with Scope. Everything's black and white, it looks like to him. But things aren't black and white. There's huge grays.
Pick your side.
Pick your side, you see? That's how he wants to divide the world. He wants to divide it by the simps and the kinky people. That's the only thing to divide people by, I guess, is like, let's categorize people this way. It just doesn't make any sense. There's so many things in between all of that.
Straight out of the playbook of the boomer who's decaying in his lazy boy, who wants to tell you, no, that ain't gonna work. No one's gonna hire you looking like that. The bone through your nose? Yeah, forget it. Yeah, the stud going through your tongue? No one wants sluts working for them. And the dyed hair? Don't get me started on the dyed hair and the tattoos.
Yep.
No one's gonna hire you looking like that.
Hey, check it out. Somebody with tattoos got a job once. Therefore, how you look has no effect on your hiring prospects. I mean, this is some real...
That was not his argument at all. Complete straw man. That was nowhere near his argument. And it was an exaggerated argument that he's making fun of by saying no one's gonna hire you, because the person exaggerated, saying that no one is gonna, you'll be homeless because there's no possible way you could find a job. That's the point. The argument against him was extremely exaggerated. You seem to not understand when people are making fun of exaggeration. You seem to take that as a declaration of the argument of what his argument is.
Brain.
But this is not a debate. He's not debating. He's not giving you solid arguments. He's making fun of the people with these ridiculous arguments against him. You know.
Shit here. Another veritable clinic in critical thinking.
All right, another ad. Look at all this money LP's making off of me. Damn. Nah, it's fine. Like I said at the beginning, I don't know him very well. I have nothing against him. I just think his ideas are terrible. And I think he comes about these ideas arbitrarily. It's like a biased thing. I don't see how his views come to this. And if you've seen, I showed you at the beginning, when he shows data, the data doesn't say shit. Like, it says the complete opposite of what he's saying. Like, maybe not the complete opposite, but it comes in a huge gradient, and you're like, well, it's not much different. Just like the data he was showing for women who were very happy in their relationships. Well, you know, it seems like you either got to have a low number of partners or a really high number of partners in that then. So then there's no problem with people having high numbers of partners. Just don't stay in that in-between zone, basically, is what he's saying by showing that data. But he doesn't realize that, because he's using that data to say, look, the more partners you have, the more unhappy a woman is, like, in a marriage. But the other funny thing about that data that I didn't do, that I forgot to show you guys, was that data was only for people who said they were very happy. But if you read the article, there were also a set amount of people who said they were pretty happy, which is fine. What's wrong with being pretty happy? But then it said only like 3% of people said they were unhappy in the relationship. So really, it's like 97% of the people they checked were happy in the relationships. It was just different ranges or gradients of how happy they were.
Yeah, so many other things to do and make money before stooping to this point.
I find it very fascinating.
But yeah, that's a bad argument, because stooping to this point is an opinion. That's subjective. Each person has what they consider to be stooping and how bad that stooping is. It's a huge different, it's a different range for everybody.
That commentary YouTuber who's known for criticizing others, much like me, would be willing to take the position that sex work is beneath them, that they aren't on the same level as sex work.
Yeah, building a huge audience because you're funny and entertaining, or you have interesting things to say, or you argue points well, that's totally like showing your tits or getting fucked on camera. They're the same thing. Why is this guy pretending? I mean, what the fuck is this? Honestly, this is so stupid.
Yeah, I think the opposite, but I don't think he's making a serious argument there again, but I think his point is just that, like, why are people looking at this as being such a bad thing? Like, it's really not, especially if she's not even showing nudity, then LP has nothing to complain about here.
Fascinating. I find it really
if he wants to stay consistent with this, he's going to have to say every single model in the world and in history has been a slut, and every single person who's dated those models in history and was cool with them being models is a cuck. You have to say that then.
Interesting that is the that's the position you want to take. That I think that'll age quite nicely.
You can add extra money as well, which, I mean, I don't know if it's really needed in that household, considering the dude will pull like 3 million views off of reviewing peanuts, but okay.
Sounds like someone's a little bit salty.
Yeah, yeah, it does. He's basically saying his argument was a thing of like money and being able to sustain yourself in the future. And he's like, oh, well, I guess that's not really a problem since this guy pulls in like 3 million views a video. Yeah, exactly. He makes enough money. It's cool. I mean, his girlfriend doesn't even have to do what she's doing to make money, but maybe she just doesn't want to be a looch off of him. She wants to, make her own money, which is fine. If that's something that makes her happy to like start her own business and make her own money, that's her thing. That'll make her happy. And that's where the compromise comes in. Maybe he'd be a little happier if she didn't do that and just stayed at home and he, paid for everything. Or maybe, but he sees it makes her a lot happier to make her own money. So why wouldn't he want her to raise her happiness as well? And maybe it only drops his happiness a little bit, like not enough. It's raising her happiness way more, and he's willing to do that compromise.
You do realize that if your partner is making a lot of money and is very wealthy, that doesn't automatically make you feel fulfilled in the relationship.
Yeah, that's the same argument that I just made is the argument he's making. He's right.
Or feel like you're contributing enough. Because based on your argument, then I guess Jeff Bezos' son just should never work at McDonald's. There's enough money in the family. I think there's enough money in that household.
Does Jeff Bezos' son work at McDonald's? Because I would find that surprising. I would find that a little...
Again, it's an exaggeration. We obviously know Jeff Bezos' son wouldn't need to work at McDonald's, probably would never work at a McDonald's. We get that concept. But what he's saying is, if you have parents that are wealthy and they're willing to give you money and support you for your whole life or whatever, that doesn't mean that you feel fulfilled in life. Some people want to accomplish that for themselves. Just like, I'll put a good example of that. Stephen King has a son. His son is a writer who is now a best-selling author. But when he came out, he changed his name and just used his middle name as his last name because he didn't want people to know that his father was Stephen King. He wanted to gain and his own accomplishment. I want to be a bestseller before people find out that my dad is Stephen King. And he did. He released a bestseller. And then that's when he revealed, I'm Stephen King's son. I call myself Joe Hill, but my name is really, Joseph King. Now it's out in the open. Him and his dad have wrote books together. They work together, and he's still, everything he puts out he's a best-selling author. But he accomplished that without his dad's reputation. He could have taken his dad's reputation right off the bat and came out like a steamroller, but he didn't because he wanted to gain that himself. He did not feel he would be fulfilled in his life and happy if he looched off his father's reputation to gain the acknowledgement that he's a good writer, A
little bit weird, although I could respect it because something like that can be character building, can give you a chance to appreciate what you have by seeing how the other half lives and not having to sacrifice your dignity in the process. But only an emotion.
But dignity, again, is subjective. Everybody has their own different levels of dignity. And again, you might want to drop a little bit of dignity if you can gain more happiness from that, or you can create a better balance in your relationship. You don't want to drop it all, obviously, but there's give and take. There's gradients to these things. This seems like LP's trying to say you should never compromise. Like you should be in a relationship, but you should never compromise. Anytime you compromise, then you're a cuck. Like, no, what are you talking about? Relationships are compromise. That's how you get them to work. You have to create a balance between you two so that you can both be as happy as you can be with each other.
Emotionally broke.
My background screen? Oh, shit, I never undid that. Okay. Well, at least you could still hear it. There's not really much to look at, regardless. But yeah, thanks, Grant. All right, let's get back.
Broken human being needs to show her pussy online in order to get a sense of fulfillment. This is
why do they? Well, I will grant him that the vast majority of times it will be people who are broken that do that, but that doesn't mean they all are. There are some people who just enjoy that. They just like to be looked at. You know what I'm saying? There's sexual kinks of that too. There's voyeurs and exhibitionists. There's people who like to watch. There's people who like to be watched. Like maybe that's what makes her happy. And if it makes her happy, why not? Or maybe she is a broken person, but this makes her feel better about it. And she's happier when she's doing this. You know what I'm saying? Then let her do it until it doesn't make her happy anymore. And she can move on to the next thing that makes her happy, or makes her feel fulfilled in her life. I mean, at that point, you're already broken. You know what I'm saying? You got to do something about it. Maybe it's the wrong thing to do, but maybe you'll learn that lesson. I mean, really, like, what I think is you got to kind of let people make their own mistakes and they can figure out, I think people learn better from experience and making mistakes than just people telling you like, hey, blah, blah, blah. And then, obviously we have to listen to some advice sometimes because that's how humans advance. But sometimes people are just really stubborn. The brain just works like that, right? That sometimes you just have to go through things. It's like your parents could tell you that the fire's hot and you're going to burn yourself. But sometimes you just don't heed that and you want to find out for yourself and you touch the fire and go, oh shit, that shit does burn. I'm never touching that again,
I've been saying is that your girlfriend, she's addicted to attention in a very unhealthy, narcissistic way. That's the only way this can be explained. If she was...
No, you notice how he said that's the only way this could be explained. There's no other thing that it could possibly be. It's the only way. And LP knows this.
Wasn't an emotionally broken human being, she could get that fulfillment by being a good woman to you. She could take care
listen to this.
of you. She could clean up your fucking desk, for example. She could cook for you 3 squares a day. She could work on trying to improve that, making you happy so that you can focus on earning the money. That's
you see what he did? So he's saying now he knows this woman more than she knows herself. LP is saying this woman can't be happy unless she is fulfilling iDubbbz's life. iDubbbz, it doesn't matter if iDubbbz makes her life feel fulfilled. The way that she's going to feel fulfilled is by being subservient to iDubbbz and doing things for him and making him happy. That goes both ways, LP. What if she's not happy doing that? Are you saying that she should go against her happiness, but he shouldn't? Like, what kind of weird double standard is that? Both people in the relationship have to be happy. Why doesn't he clean up her desk? You know what I'm saying? That's a nice thing to do for your girl, right? You don't have to do it all the time. I'm not saying that you should always constantly be cleaning up after your girl. But if your girl's got a messy desk and you're not doing anything, why not clean it up then, right? And make her happy. That would certainly make her happy if she looked over. Oh, sure, you cleaned my desk. Thanks. That was so sweet of you to do, right? That would make her happy.
the dynamic that works well and is healthy. Encouraging dudes to jerk off to your girlfriend is not a healthy dynamic.
He didn't encourage that. He just said he was cool with that.
And I have a feeling that your relationship is not going to age well, Ian.
It might not. If it doesn't, that's fine. People go through multiple relationships. It happens. You've probably been through multiple relationships, right? Right? There was relationships you went through that failed, right? But guess what? Those relationships were probably learning experiences and probably led you to the mentality you have now, and that you're just started a new relationship. Those past relationships probably taught you things that are going to make this new relationship better and last longer.
But we'll see what happens, I guess.
No reason.
Maybe.
Philip Bezos needs to go on OnlyFans. Doesn't need to lower himself to that standard. The world would be a much better place if people like Philip Bezos, I don't know if that's his son's actual name, but if Philip Bezos did OnlyFans, that would be a perfectly fine thing to do.
Yeah, I watched this video once already, but all this Philip Bezos stuff, I must have missed it because it's so bizarre.
I don't see why it's bizarre. I think he's got a solid point. It's just exaggerated. It's not bizarre. It's just hyperbole, but it's making a point that he's saying that just because his father's rich and will support him for the rest of the life, or even if he'll inherit that money and it'll be his, it doesn't mean that he feels fulfilled in his life. Like, he might want to earn money for himself and do his own thing, have his own business, you know?
It's just weird. I don't know what point he thinks he's making, but it's not
how did I watch that right now and figure out the point he was making easily? In one thing, like listening to it once. How come you didn't?
Point, but he doesn't
think about that, dude.
Seem to understand that there's a lot of people out there who could go on OnlyFans and actually use the money, like people who aren't rich, people who are living a hard scrabble life.
Those things are there for different kinds of people. For people who enjoy making that content, for people who are desperate and need money, sure. But that doesn't mean anything. Like, what? There's people who become but it's the same thing as being a model. Like, it's basically it. Like, how can you argue against someone being a model? Are you against modeling at all? Like, is that a position you would take, that you're against modeling?
Life or just getting by or whatever, who could do that, but they don't because they value their dignity. Does he not?
And if the problem here is that it's OnlyFans, like say she just did that on Patreon, would that not be an issue? Is the issue that she's on OnlyFans, which has a reputation of nudity? Is that what it is? Because then would you be against a chick putting out content on Pornhub that's not porn, where she's just doing content like you do and doing like, you know, cut up videos, reacting to other people's videos on YouTube? The only difference being that she decided to upload it on Pornhub. Would you be against that just because it's on that website? Is that what the issue is here? That's why I don't fully understand the issue, because since she's not posing nude, what is the problem? Like, what is the issue here? It seems like it's that it's on OnlyFans, and that's what the issue is, because it's OnlyFans is known for nudity.
Understand this.
I think what I've learned from this experience is when you're speaking to a large group of people and there's some dudes in the back shouting out their opinions like, I fucking hate thoughts. I hate whores. Women who sell their body online fucking suck. That's the...
People who do that, I think, is very indicative of their behavior, especially people who do that often. And I think that's very indicative of an insecurity people have. Just like if you know about fucking evangelist people who preach against homosexuality fervently, constantly talking about it, constantly pointing it out, constantly saying it's a bad thing. What happens? They end up getting caught in a truck stop bathroom sucking a dick. You know what I'm saying? Or in a motel room smoking crack and sucking a dick. So that it's kind of really weird for people to constantly, if you constantly point out shit like that, it seems like you have an issue, especially when you're pointing it out in this kind of way. And it tends to happen that way. People who tend to be like fervently against sexual behavior tend to have insecurities and issues with sexual behavior. Now, I don't know if LP does, but it seems like it a lot. I think I said it in my last video where he kind of scoffed at somebody calling him an incel. And I'm like, yeah, but people are calling you that because you output that behavior. Your ideology outputs that behavior. You're kind of like your obsession with relationships and sexuality and women and how women behave. It's kind of indicative of how you feel about it, and that you have insecurities. Could be wrong. Maybe it's just like a weird obsession of yours, a weird hobby. I don't know, but it seems like it to me. And it seems like you're letting your past relationships, you know, dictate your ideology like that. But because maybe those are the issues you suffered, but that doesn't mean other people will suffer those issues. Maybe you're not the kind of person who could have a relationship with somebody posting pictures online, but that doesn't mean nobody else can. People come in different varieties. People are bothered by different things. People have different insecurities.
Worst. Instead of ignoring that and just moving on with my lecture, it might be a better idea to point those people out and say, yeah, I actually don't agree with that shitty opinion.
Yeah.
Because it seems like me just ignoring it has led to like a cultivation of a bunch of retards.
Yeah, we get it, man. You're so
100%. That's exactly what happened. Him not, which, you know, he has no obligation to come out and say what his ideas are. He doesn't need to, or how he wants to live his life. It's nobody's business. But it seems like him not addressing it has just made a pocket of his audience just come up and make an image of him in their minds that, oh, you know, iDubbbz is not a this and he's not that. He wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do that. But they don't know these things. They've just come up with that in their head. But it's weird because he did show clips from before where he kind of did address it. So, I mean, if people were consistently watching his stuff and had seen all his content, then yeah, he did actually address that.
so progressive and virtuous. Okay, enough.
That's not progressive or virtuous. That's just his preference. He wasn't virtuing anything there. What was the virtue of that? I don't understand where the virtue part came in.
Alrighty, see you at the slut walk. Cuck.
Right. Yeah, what a useless video, right? That made 0 sense. All right, so useless video, useless arguments. I don't know. Well, what do you guys think? Let me go to the chat. I haven't looked at the chat in a while. How's everybody doing out there? Let me, I think I had something else to show real quick. Oh yeah, so when I did the David Silverman stream of him and interviewing David Silverman, he left a comment on that one, right? Let me move on to show you guys this. And his comment was just a link to Wikipedia, right? So I look at this. We'll take a quick look at this. Because again, this doesn't have anything. Oh yeah, come in, Brad. Oh shit! Hold on. Yeah, just unmute, Grant. Whoa, why can't I unmute? I don't know. Do you hear me, Grant? Oh, you're not unmuted. Yeah, he's in here, but he's not unmuting. Yep.
Yo.
What's up, man?
That smug motherfucker.
It's such a weird video, right? Like he really said nothing, like at all. Like he was just straw manning him the whole time, really.
I put this in the chat earlier because I want to start off with this. According to LP, does he think that Super Bowl winning future Hall of Fame quarterback Tom Brady, does he think he's a cuck?
Why is he dating a model?
He's married to a model.
Yeah, basically. I bet
a
she's
model
posed
that
many
actually
times
makes
that she's been like half naked, right?
Yeah, a model that actually makes more than he does.
Shit. Wow. Man,
so I mean, does that make Tom Brady?
Yeah, I guess he's a cuck. I guess so. What else could?
Okay, well let's go since we're in America. Let's step outside of the whole American sphere of American sports. What about David Beckham? What about the generations of dudes that used to whack off to his wife?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was saying.
For the last 20-some years. Is he a cuck? I think David Beckham would laugh in your fucking face.
Well, the problem there was that he was saying that iDubbbz is endorsing it, and that's what makes it. You can't control what girls do, but iDubbbz endorsing. And you watched the video.
Who cares?
Who cares for sure? But you watched the video. When did iDubbbz endorse it? The whole video was about how he's cool with it, not how everybody else should be cool with it. You know what I'm saying? You didn't say that.
It's just it's like you said before, and I keep thinking back to that. It seems like LP thinks that other people think exactly the same way he does. They view this situation the same way he does. For some reason, everybody else seems to have this problem with iDubbbz's private life. Although it's been made public, but still, it's still his life. Who the fuck else should care?
That's what's so weird to me. You know what I'm saying? That's like, we've met a musician that we grew up listening to and idolized recently, right? And that's like when we met him and had a conversation with him, and we were like, dude, loved your band, your music was fantastic, so influential in my life, but I had to stop listening to it a couple of years ago because you did something I don't agree with. Well, like, how much of an asshole would you be for saying that to him, you know?
Right. Well, it's like going to, hey, man, you know, I can't listen to your stuff anymore because your old lady is your manager. That can't be...
yeah, that can't be right.
You can't have that, man.
No, she should only be at home cleaning for you and not working. Like,
yeah, it's fucking... It is insane to fucking...
insane, man. It's so weird, man. I don't get it. Why guys are like that now, and why that's becoming like a trend for people to push. It's so weird.
We're talking about dudes that couldn't get laid for the longest time. They couldn't figure out why. But about a year and a half ago, they figured out something. Hey, I remember there was a time where, you know, the woman was basically like second fiddle in the relationship. It was the man that did everything. Yeah. If we go back to that, we have a better chance.
Yeah. Well, guess what, man? Times change. we gotta roll with the times, man.
It is rare to find a couple where like the male is the breadwinner. We're in a day and age where, you know, both people in the couple have to work. That's just how shit is now.
Yeah, it depends. But even on top of that, like some people just aren't fulfilled not making any money and not producing something, you know? Like maybe she wants to make content. She wants to make money off that. That's what she wants to do. It makes her happy. Let her do it. I don't see why people have to tell people how they live their lives and shit and shame them for how they live their lives. To a certain degree, obviously crazy. I agree there's certain things you should shame people for that's that low. But something like this is it's really none of your business. Like it's not hurting anyone. I don't get it. But I like how he thought when he made that video, it was still pretty early on after iDubbbz that came out, right? Or iDubbbz video came out. I like how he thought that this was going to be the end of iDubbbz, like that it's over, that he can't say anything without anybody bringing it up anymore, and that he was like, oh, it's going to 50% half and half on his likes and dislikes, and then there's going to be a landslide. And it's like, nope, that didn't happen.
Yeah, everybody makes a bad video.
Yeah, it happens.
What would be considered publicly a bad video. You don't.
Yeah. Sometimes
It's
your audience
crazy
disagrees
how-
with you. It happens.
Yeah, it happens. Oh well, I'm sure he's probably had worse than, you know.
It's weird
And
to me that you would stop watching someone's content because you don't believe in their ideology. Depending on what you're watching, that kind of just shows me that you can only watch content of people you agree with. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, I watch content all the time of people I don't agree with, but they make good content. Maybe it's not even about the things we disagree on is not what their content's about, right? So who cares? But I mean, LP himself said he's not a fan of
I've never seen a group of people that have such a problem with what this dude does in his life. So what? That dude's probably laughing as he's railing his chick from behind, like, yeah, all y'all are pissed, but I'm still getting it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's so funny to say he's a cuck when he's the dude that's banging the chick. Nobody else is. It's just him banging. The rest of them are just people drooling in the distance, like, oh, I wish I could hit that, but they're not gonna. He's the one pounding it.
Yeah, they're the ones that are admitting that they've got the OnlyFans account that they're paying into, that they're the ones whacking off to.
Honestly, if I could meet iDubbbz, I'd give him a high five. I'd be like, dude, because I wouldn't say this. Yeah, because in the end, he's doing his thing. From my opinion of when I look at him, I don't think he's like a dude. Like, I wouldn't think he was a dude that could pull in hot chicks. But you know, he's got one. He got one that he thinks is hot at least, and you know, fucking good for him. Enjoy that relationship. Like, enjoy it till it's over, or if it's not over, whatever. But even if it ends badly, enjoy it until that point. That's kind of what it's relationship.
Yeah, even if it ends like, hey, I railed her, you motherfuckers didn't.
And we had a good time. Maybe they laughed a lot together and enjoy each other's company. Let them enjoy that for now until it's over, you know? Until something goes wrong. I don't see the problem with people being in relationships they enjoy, even if it's going to end bad. I know some people see that as a waste of time, but it's really not. You're enjoying your life at that moment, right? Like, and you're having a learning experience as well. I
don't get how, like, you know, everybody's relationship is different. You know, no person's relationship is the same as the others, you know.
Right.
But yet,
we come in a huge variety.
Who barely has one, right? Or just recently got into a major one, I guess is the right terminology here.
We can't really delve too much into that because we don't know anything, right?
Right. But just going off of that, this guy is now the arbiter of what's right and wrong in a relationship.
But I believe
like,
that
you should put down the ultimatum. You should throw down the gauntlet. Like, are you serious, dude?
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm gonna play a little clip because this is where I have a clip that I'm gonna show that's gonna show you why LP thinks this way, why he makes these videos, and why he thinks about iDubbbz the way he does it. You're gonna see. But I am gonna see if I could stream it to you, Grant, so that you can watch it in here with me while I play, you know, while it's playing online, so that, you know. So I don't know. Can you click that and watch it with me?
Got it.
All right, cool. So now I just gotta display that on the OBS. Give me 1 second. Oh, actually, I don't have to because you could just hear it. You guys don't need to see it. It's barely anything on the screen to even look at anyway. I'll just play it and we'll do the audio on the stream.
There is a set of behaviors that lead you towards a good life, like a happy, fulfilling life. And there's a set of behaviors that lead you away from that. And that's like my axiom for determining morality. So anything that leads you to the good life is moral, and anything that leads you away from it is immoral. And you also have a sort of a moral duty to treat others the same way, to do things towards them that would lead them towards the good life and not away from it. Watching pornography leads you away from the good life.
So that how much does that expose about his mentality, right? Like,
it's huge.
It's
huge.
It's practically
because
religion, right? It's like a cult. Like, this is the ideology. You either follow that or you're living the bad life for everyone.
Yeah,
right? We're making a blanket statement here.
Fuck, I just lost my words about it. It makes him like, what makes him the arbiter of fucking
religion? Exactly. He's not the arbiter of this. That's just his.
Who is he opinion to tell what's right and wrong in others' relationships?
Yeah. Like I said, human beings come.
He can have the opinion of he can have the opinion of what's what, but to be this advocate of like porn ban, which I did see a stream where he's actually for the banning of pornography.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the axiom of my morality.
Yeah, anybody that's used the word axiom in the last 2 years,
agreed.
You know exactly where that leads.
Yeah, agreed. So funny. But
you start speaking in Kermit voice.
And I really don't have a problem with him having those ideas for himself. It's when he wants to tell other people how to live. That's the problem. Yeah. And that's when it starts turning into something like a religion.
Well, he did say
something.
That he felt that he has the moral duty to help lead people to that good life.
So he's proselytizing.
On the corner.
He just admitted that he thinks it's his duty to proselytize.
Yeah, it's like the religious duty to witness upon the heathen.
Yeah. How weird is that, right? Like it's basically making your own religion, right? He made he's got this, like he said, he has the axiom that leads to the basis of his morality. So now he's got that morality, and now it's his duty to spread that morality, and then probably, he's not saying this, but probably have those people spread his morality, and that's basically a religion, right?
I think the whole duty thing is a cover for when somebody says, "Hey, you know what? How can you be a person of everybody should have their own freedoms to do whatever, anything. What goes on behind somebody's door is their business. Who are you to step in to do that?"
Yeah.
They bring the morality argument into it, and they bring this my duty, to lead people to this way. Because I've noticed that anybody who's against gay marriage or something, or advocates something to be taken from someone in a authoritarian stance, when you come back at them with well, what about the ultimate freedom that you preach about all the time? My freedom to own guns or freedom to do whatever. But when it's something you want that authoritarian play in the mix. It's this whole duty shit. Man, worry about your damn self before you start worrying about others.
I see it as social manipulation, kind of like that, 1984 shit, brainwash people, kind of shit. That's what that seems like to me. He wants to brainwash the world.
It's only when you hear about the morality argument that's being brought in. The religious do it. He's doing it, and then you got the vegans. They'll bring in morality or ethics, or they'll bring this buzzwords that, hey, this gives my stance a step above you by using these words, and none of his opinions make him more moral than me, or vice versa.
Right. Because it's
if you don't want your kids, seeing porn at 8 or 9 years old, don't let it happen.
Yeah.
Be a parent. You should not depend on the government or whatever to just ban all porn because you slipped up and didn't put a parental lock on the fucking cell phone.
Yeah, it's funny because this is a morality. Remember when we were growing up, horror had gone through a huge backlash, right? That the horror was blowing up, and people were saying, oh, little kids shouldn't watch horror, and say, you had say your dad showed you or your mom showed you horror movies when you were 9, her neighbor might judge her for that and say, oh, why? How can you show her and shame her for that? You're treating your kid horrible. But guess what? I was watching horror movies since I was 6, and I'm one of the least violent people I know. You know what I'm saying? Right. And until this day, I love horror. I'm a huge fan of it. I
mean, look at the 80s and 90s with our music. The parental advisory labels, the PMRC.
Advisory, fucking Satan is the big satanic panic and shit. People trying to push their moralities on other people.
It's the same shit.
Push their
it's hey, why not let the parents do the job?
Yeah, the
video games. Why not let the parents do the job?
What did you think? That one argument he made really blew me away. I really was what? The whole argument he made about just him admitting that it's not that bad, admits that it's still kind of bad, but why is kind of bad as bad? You know what I'm saying? It's not the same thing. He had no gradient for it. It's it's either bad or it's good. That's it.
Well, I think when you try to push or advocate for the trad life style of living,
you have no
it is
gray area.
I think it's an all or none mentality.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a very black and white mentality. Yes,
yeah. Because he said either you're a cuck or you do king shit. It's what, really? Have you been in... That tells me he hasn't been in long-term relationships. That tells me right there
Yeah.
that he hasn't had to compromise on anything.
Mm. Yeah, because that relationships are compromised, dude. You have to.
You
Like,
don't get to walk in. You don't get to walk in every day expecting dinner to be made. It don't work like that. You may have seen that on TV from like a show in the 50s in black and white, but
you don't feel like
that's
it.
not real life, my man.
Yeah. Well, this is the argument of like, was things better in the 50s because marriages, there wasn't much of a divorce rate then, you know, marriages stayed together, but is that really a better thing for the people involved? Because sometimes one person could be abusive, you know what I'm saying? Or the other person could be completely depressed in the relationship. Like, why should they?
Well, there was always...
That's where you have to weigh if it's better for you to leave the relationship or stay in it, you know?
You know, it's crazy. Like, I remember being a kid and, you know, hearing like some of the elders in my family, you know, times were great in the, you know, post-World War II in the 50s and all that. And it's like, really? We had the Korean War in the 50s. It wasn't fucking just, you know, nice twilight, you know, nights and things like that where, you know, Pop sat on this chair reading the newspaper, you know, having the tobacco pipe while Mom is still in her apron cleaning up the kitchen after dinner. It's not that. Ed Gein was in the fucking 50s. I mean,
yeah.
Not everything was fucking, you know, this great thing.
Wow.
None of us were around in that time. None of us to even know what it was like.
Wow.
And if you had the sexual revolution and all that shit boom in the 60s, I mean, no.
That's what I'm saying. I believe
Mm.
in balancing things. I think that there's a balance between things. And if you think about it, like if you go to the huge sexual repression that was going on in the 50s, right? I would think that's why we called in the 60s, that's why we called the hippies the counterculture, because they were countering it, that they were overcompensating for the sexual repression, and then they became way too sexually open, right? Like that's kind of what happened. So the best thing to do is to try to create a balance in between that, so there is no counterculture, you know, so we create a little balance in between. So if you push something too hard one way, it causes a pendulum to swing, right? And then it pushes hard the other way. It's kind of how I feel about this alt-right bullshit. I feel like the SJWs came out, pushed too hard, and now we have the opposite reaction growing, you know? And then that's going to lead to the opposite reaction growing. It's just going to keep going back and forth, where the pendulum's going to keep swinging back and forth.
It's not... It's some people not knowing how to pump the brakes on their own opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you don't see, you know, ahead, like, hey, you know, I kind of want to get away from this shit, but not too far over to forget where I come from, then it's like I said before, about a year and a half ago, nobody gave a fuck about trad life.
Yeah.
And now it's some like big thing. Trad life was always like status quo. We came up in a generation where we were against the status quo. We listened to music that was our lifestyle that was against the status quo. And then all of a sudden, oh, we need to go back to that. Like, do what?
Yeah, for what? We already moved forward from that. Let's keep moving forward and let's not move back.
For what? Okay, so say we go back to trad life, right? Does that give these incel guys a better chance at ass?
Yeah, I think that's the misconception with at least with the incel guys. I can't really say that about LP. He might have a different opinion on that. But I think with a lot of these incel guys, they think that if women weren't slutty, then they could have sex. But that doesn't even make sense. Like, the fact that women are slutty means you probably should be able to have sex.
Well, that's
if there's slutty women out there.
Well, okay. Well, we also have to define slutty. You know, who makes
I've never thought of it as a way that I thought of it as a way of the person's mentality doing the act. Like, if you're a girl who is having a lot of sex just for attention or for ulterior motives, I consider that slutty. But if you're doing it because you love to have sex, then you know, that's just you following what makes you happy. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, this chick posting up modeling pictures, right? Maybe it could be a chance at, you know, her trying for a modeling career. You said it before. Go to a fucking beach. You would actually see more on the beach than you would,
or just as much either way.
On those on that chick's account.
And all she's doing is being a model, but doing it on her own terms. You know what I'm saying? With no boss. That's basically.
And if she can make some coin off of it, who cares?
Yeah, if she can make money off of it, then why not? You know, she's not posing naked. You know. So I don't get it. I don't see what the issue is. But that they're making it into an issue that it's not. That's what it is. That's what's going on.
This is like you see these kids that have this problem with this shit. Like, dude, half of you motherfuckers haven't even lived long enough. And that goes back to another thing, the whole insecurities thing. Mm-hmm. When LP says, well, you need to throw down the gauntlet, you need to throw down the hammer. Like, dude, it seems like this chick is bothering you more than it's bothering iDubbbz.
Yeah, I think so. But he's kind of using the video to say, oh, it's obviously bothering you because he made this video. What's bothering him is the backlash to his personal life. That's not the topic itself. What's bothering him is that people are giving them this huge backlash for what he's doing in his own personal relationship to a girl. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's upset.
In his own relationship.
And that's why he made this video. Yeah.
From dudes that can't get relationships of their own, they feel the need to dictate this man's relationship. Get the fuck out of here, man.
Yeah, it's weird that I don't know. It is
so crazy.
I've never cared, and when I watch people in their content, I've never cared about their personal life. Like one of my biggest inspirations and favorite writers of all time is H.P. Lovecraft, and he had racist views. Right? Mm-hmm. He was a xenophobe. He had racist views. That's his own personal views. His content is still good. He was still a good writer, you know, and I still enjoy his content. And he still influenced all of horror that people are enjoying today, you know.
Music as well.
Yeah, and music, yeah.
Exactly. I see his stuff in music all the time.
Exactly. There's much Lovecraft-inspired music out there.
But it's like, I've got to... How long was LP's video? What, 18 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
So, let's just say it took him, what? I'll just throw 4 hours. It took 4 hours to make, right?
It was actually 25 minutes.
Nowhere within that time did he think to himself, you know, this is bullshit. Why am I wasting my time on this?
Yeah. This is a useless video to make.
Like, this is useless as fuck.
There's so many other topics and so many other things I could be making videos on. He's gonna make it on the personal life of some guy who makes YouTube videos.
No, it's because it was another chance to say, hey, fuck women, am I right, guys?
And call him a hypocrite when he was never a hypocrite. He even showed old clips of himself showing how he felt about those things, you know, about women.
That dude's video was slammed full of sarcasm, and you can
tell. And that's what his content's like. He's a goofball. You know what I'm saying? He's constantly making jokes throughout his video and being sarcastic and, you know, half laughing at the things he's saying, you know.
I mean, I saw there was a couple instances where where he inadvertently made LP's points before LP tried to make them.
yeah.
I don't remember exactly, but it was just like one or two there. It's like, damn.
That happened to me at one point too. I made a point and then I clicked play and iDubbbz was making the same point. I was like, oh, he just made a point. Like, whoops. But see, I thought of the same thing. And then there was that point that iDubbbz made that he didn't understand. He was like, I don't know what point he's trying to make here. And I was like, how come I got that point easily and you didn't? Like, I didn't have to hear it twice. I totally understood what he said. He's not. Why is LP not understanding hyperbole? I don't get it. Or a hyperbolic argument. What was it? Oh, he was saying about Jeff Bezos' son.
Yeah,
doing that. Yeah, it's hyperbole, dude. He's joking. Obviously,
big time.
Jeff Bezos' son. It has nothing to do with the argument. That's just a placeholder for whatever you want to put there.
This is.
I don't
know. It's just like if you're living a good, honest, and wholesome life, this shit should not bother you at all.
Mm-hmm.
From somebody else. That somebody else has no bearing on what you do in your personal life whatsoever. So why are you letting it?
I think people are looking at it weird because you're not in the person's head. So when someone's saying they're cool with this, he's seeing it as they can't be cool with this. This has to be like them cucking to the girl. But to me, I look at it and I'm like, that just shows this dude is secure. He's secure in his relationship. You know what I'm saying? He's secure that none of this would have an impact on his relationship. You know?
So,
he's secure with his emotions and his thoughts.
I'm not going to really dig into LP's life, but what if his old lady says, "Hey, I want to go out to the club with the ladies Friday night. It's ladies' night. You know, we get in free. Can I go?"
Yeah.
Would he let her go, or would he give her a ton of shit?
I brought up the beach thing, and I was like, is he cool with taking his girl to the beach and her wearing a bikini and a swimsuit, showing off legs and shoulders and maybe a
and that actually showed his insecurity there because he said, you know, if anybody would look at my chick, I would walk up to them and actually have words with them. No, the fuck you wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
No, you wouldn't. You would do like the rest of us do and give that nod of like, yeah, I'm railing this tonight while you're thinking about railing this tonight.
Which is funny.
Yeah.
It goes back to that.
Especially when you get to a certain age, because I can understand that a little bit in high school, but once you get to a certain age, you start picking your battles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
You know, which again, that's another example. Tells me I don't think he's been in a long-term relationship enough to let shit like that slide.
Yeah, of course. There's a give and take in a relationship. It's not just one person's happy and the other one's not, and the other one just works at making the other one happy. You got to go both ways, right? You got to make each other happy and try to find.
Hey,
that
honey, we're
balance
going to the
between-
beach today. Don't wear that thing that's too revealing.
Yeah, that kind of bothers me. You know, is it okay if you don't wear that?
Yeah,
And then you got. But if she really wants to wear it, now you're going to have to balance your happiness with that and see. And do that balance in your head so you could see if it bothers you that much or not. You know what I'm saying? Because, well, she's going to be really happy wearing that. Maybe I'm not bothered as much, you know, as she is gaining happiness from that. So let me just let it slide, you know?
I tell the old lady, hey, wear whatever you want. I've always been like that. It's just whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm the same way. I've always been the same way as well. I don't understand that concept. And it's like that goes back to that argument where they were saying, where that other guy came on and he was saying that, you know, oh, they get to see what he gets to see for money. And it's like, why does people looking at your girlfriend devalue your girlfriend? Like, I don't understand that.
Exactly.
It doesn't at all. But see, these are all personal things. Like we were talking about, like, oh, would he let his girlfriend do that? Well, maybe she wouldn't want those things because of his past relationships and experience, he knows to choose a partner who agrees with his ideology and wants to live the way he wants to live, right? So then maybe he did pick the right girl this time. Maybe she agrees with everything he says, and she does gain happiness from making him happy. Totally fine. That's your relationship. Perfectly fine to do that. But for you to say that for other people and say what makes them happy, that's where I seriously have an issue with this.
Yeah. What iDubbbz should have said was like, hey, this sounds like y'all got a problem, not me.
Exactly. That's exactly what that's why that video was filled with sarcasm, right? It was super ridiculous and he just said everything super exaggerated because the point was that you guys are being exaggerated by caring about this. You know, like that's an exaggerated view to hold.
You guys got a problem with number one, me having a chick with big tits. Okay. Yeah. That's one.
She got a boob job.
The second problem is that she's got her own account where she makes a little bit of money by, you know, showing off some curvature.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with it at all. She's making her own money, which means I don't have to dish out much at all. Win-win.
She's basically a model who's her own boss. That's basically all she is. Yeah.
You know, please make more money than me.
And if you have a problem with him dating her,
please make more money than me.
And if you have a problem with him dating her, then you have a problem with anybody who dates a model. Like, basically. You're basically calling everyone who dates a model a cuck. Because that's all she's doing is modeling.
That's why I asked about Tom Brady, David Beckham. What about Seal when he was with Heidi Klum?
Mm-hmm.
Was Seal a cuck at that time?
Or maybe anybody who's dating an actress who's done a nude scene or done an almost nude scene.
Man.
Those are all cucks too. Yeah. How dare Ryan Reynolds be with his girlfriend who's shown cleavage on a video? How dare he?
Right.
You know, in a movie, she should have chose not to do that and dress more conservatively so she doesn't look like a slut. I don't get it.
See, they want their wives to be like sex dolls, like no personality, no.
Yeah, nobody can look at
nothing.
them. Nobody, you know, they can't have a past history of sex.
But, see, actually, you know what? I was just about to bring that up right as you said it, because once you get to a certain age, you have to realize that there is nothing you can do with a chick that hasn't been done to her already.
Yeah.
So if you're like 28 years old and you're trying to say, you know, I want to try to find a chick that hasn't been quote unquote turned out or turned up or whatever the fuck he calls it. It gets to a point where you're just like, you know what? If she can't handle me for now, then okay.
Yeah, you know.
But if you go into it like, man, I wonder if she really sucked that guy's dick like that or not.
Yeah, of course it's gonna drive you nuts if that's all you focus on.
Yeah, if she rides me a certain way, like, man, where did she learn that from? It seems to me LP and the rest of these fucking incels would have a problem.
To be honest with you, at like once I got past like 30, I kind of didn't want a girl who wasn't sexually experienced anymore, because now I was sexually experienced and I no longer had, by like mid 30s, I no longer had the patience to teach someone from scratch what to do in bed, you know what I'm saying? And deal with somebody who has no experience and be patient and wait for them to gain that experience.
You don't have to go through these awkward ass moments. You can just throw down.
Yeah. And then sex becomes kind of less of an issue in the relationship, where it's not like awkward, you know what I'm saying? Because you both have experience. It's not an awkward thing. It's not one person thinking I don't have the experience and I can't satisfy the other person, you know what I'm saying?
Well, now when you get into your 30s, you have kids and you both have careers, your time is limited. So you need to cut all the bullshit out the way, get shit done so you can move on.
Yeah,
you ain't got time for all.
It's an expedited thing. When you're young, it makes sense because you're inexperienced yourself as well, right? So it's like you're finding other people who are inexperienced, and you're both learning together, you know, at the same time. But once you get older, you know, you don't have patience in your life to be teaching people shit. You're like, yo, let's have sex, let's do it, and that's it. And then we get on with our lives and do other shit that we enjoy.
But why? The one thing I cannot connect. Because I can connect the thought processes and all that of these dudes, is how did we get from I'm not fucking and I don't want to look inward, so I have to go the trad life route. You couldn't have gone any other route and said, hey, you know, maybe I should work on getting a better car, you know? Bettering myself before I try to go pursue a relationship. Because we're talking about gamer dorks too. I mean, come on.
But let's just say that this topic is, to me, seems like it's an obsession for LP. Like, and personally, I would say it's an unhealthy obsession, because it seems like
it is.
That's why maybe he couldn't be in a relationship with a girl like that, because he would obsess over the idea, like you were saying before. Did she suck this guy? Did she do that? He would obsess over that, you know, and then it wouldn't let him be happy. So I understand it's not for him, you know.
Yeah, that would still fall under his insecurities. That's a him problem.
But since he can't control that, then he thinks other people can't too. But some people can, or some people don't even have those thoughts. Personally, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about a girl's past sexual experience. Well, I do want them to have experience, but I don't care about it. Like, whatever you did before I was with you is your personal business. That's your personal life. Now that you're with me, now we're sharing a life from this moment on, you know, and it's about this moment on.
It's like I said before, you have to have the mentality of there's nothing I can do to this chick that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Let's just hope she's just into me today.
But that mentality just totally drops your pool of women of choices, right? Now especially the older they get, the older and older you get, the smaller and smaller your pool is going to be, you know. It's weird. Like, why would you want to do that? I don't know. At some point you're going to have to say, hey, there might be a girl with a really good personality that really I can connect with and brings happiness to me when I'm around her. But she has this huge sexual history. At some point, you're going to have to say one outweighs the other. You know what I'm saying? And say, all right, you know what? I'm going to turn a blind eye to her history and just enjoy the moments I have with her now, because it's very enjoyable.
You know what this reminds me of?
What?
Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
This is exactly like Chasing Amy. Holden found out that this girl, who was once a lesbian, was a little bit more than fucking promiscuous back in high school.
Before she even knew who he was.
Long before, because this was like, what, 12, 15 years later?
Yeah.
And he could not let it go.
He couldn't let it go. He obsessed over it.
And what did he end up with? Nothing.
Nothing, yeah. He ended up fucked in the end.
When basically she was saying, hey, that was a past me. That is all behind me. I want you now. As we are now.
Yeah, and I want to, you know, start my life with you from here together, you know, whatever happened before that, who cares? Yeah.
It's like, I may have been a stupid kid back then, but this is now.
Yeah, that's what that's.
But at the same time, she still should have let him know that, hey, this is a you problem. And in the same sense, this ain't my problem. This is you.
It's like they think people don't grow. Like, remember Paul Joseph Watson, right? Like, he put out stuff like, never date a girl who has a tattoo. And it's like, what, you you don't think that people who make mistakes when they're young can grow and learn from it? Like, you're gonna judge somebody by a tattoo they got when they were 14 years old, maybe?
Yeah.
You know, like,
and at this point in the world, there's more tattoo shops than there ever were before.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's so much,
it's almost rare to find somebody
Yeah.
without tattoos.
Some people are just doing it
Especially
because it's
like
a fad.
our age
That's
and
not
younger.
Yeah. They jumped on a fad or something. You know, some people
Yeah.
might do it like that. What's wrong with that? That doesn't. It's not indicative of who they are.
I mean, it's also a business now. It's a big business.
It's a big business. I don't judge anyone for tattoos. I mean,
Right.
I've almost everyone I've known in my life has been, and I'm not a tattoo person. I don't have tattoos. They're cool to look at, but I just don't.
Yeah.
I just never really had the urge to get one. But most people I know have tattoos. You know, I have friends who tattoo. Been tattooing as a career for 20 years. You know, plenty.
I mean,
have many
some of the biggest well-known artists are near you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the point is just like the point is we've gotten past that kind of shit where like you were judging of.
That's what they want to go back to.
Or being judged of tattoos.
But those are people who don't understand that everyone is not like them. That everyone doesn't
Oh my
think
God!
like
You got
them.
a tramp stamp? Yeah, I got it when I was 8.
Humans come in a
All right.
huge variety, man. One person's happiness is not necessarily another person's happiness. Like how how he was saying, like, oh, what you should do is dump your girlfriend, find someone better. But if he's enjoying his time now, why? And then with the girl, he was saying, what you should do, instead of going on OnlyFans, since he already makes money and you don't need to do that, then you should be cleaning his desk and cooking for him and making your man happy. And it's like, what? How do you know that's what makes her happy? It might make some people happy, but how do you know it makes her happy?
That's the definition of trad life.
Yeah, exactly.
Clean my desk or else.
Exactly, and it's a really weird thing where they want to force trad life on everyone. I don't know why. I don't understand.
And if you're forcing trad life, man, whenever you force shit on people, that's when things happen.
Yeah, people like different things, and all right, he's not American, so I don't know what his mentality is in this, but you see a lot of Americans doing this, right? And then kind of like the idea of America was freedom and liberty, right? So how this, to me, that's opposite of that. Like you're trying to push non-freedom or liberty. You want people to live against what they want to do, you know?
Well, that's like just like the religious in America. It's, we want this freedom of everything else unless it's something that we don't want you doing.
Yeah. Whatever happened to pursuit of happiness, right? Like they don't want that anymore. They don't want the pursuit of happiness now.
No, pursuit of our happiness.
Yeah, the pursuit of our
has to be pushed onto you.
And everybody's going to gain happiness the same way I am. That's where I'm saying it's a cult mentality. Because that's
it's
exactly what cult
not
leaders
enough
do.
that we lived a certain lifestyle. You must do it as well.
Yeah, that's the cultishness of it. Because cult leaders do that. They say, I know what makes people happy, and you have to follow me to gain that happiness. You have to follow my example and do what I say. Because what I say makes you happy is what makes you happy, and you can't really do that. And he'll show statistics, right? I showed those statistics before. They still make me laugh. That it shows, like David Silverman said it in the stream. He was like, well, what it looks like to me is that you can either have one partner or over 10. And he's like, I choose the over 10. And they all started laughing, but it's a good point. It was a very negligible difference of happiness from that. Very happy. But what they didn't cover in that stream when I read it again recently was that article itself, or that research itself, says that the difference is negligible, that they're only showing you the people who said very happy, and it says something like only 3% of people asked said they were not happy in their relationship. That's a super small number. So that means when we're looking at the percentages of very happy, that means the rest of that is basically people who are just pretty happy, which is fine, right? Why are we against pretty happy, right? Why is there only very happy?
Sounds like confirmation bias.
Yeah, that's what it is he pulled up a stat that kind of was like confirmation bias, but when you really look deeply into it, it's almost going against what he's saying it says. It's almost the opposite of that. But that's what people do with statistics. That's why we got the huge feminists came out with the whole wage gap thing, is because they're just looking at numbers and they're adding their bias to come to a conclusion. When the numbers aren't showing you a conclusion, all they're showing you is, the raw stats. And now you have to dig deeper to find the conclusion of why that happens, But instead you just take your bias and put, this is why. It has to be this,
All right, we got Chance in the chat here. I know a lot of young men, my peers, that are trad life. Yeah, because you're a fucking young man too.
But
And you know a lot
and
of
it's
dudes.
popular now. I don't understand why.
Yeah. But it's kind of okay, I guess, because they're upfront and they really only hang out with people that agree with them.
Yeah, that's the thing. But since they do that, that's why they think this is why LP thought this is the end of iDubbbz, because that's exactly what Chance is saying. He only hangs out with people who agree with them, and then when that happens, you start thinking there's way more of you than there are.
I would say that I would ask Chance, are they trying to push that shit onto other people?
Yeah, that's
the big thing here. We got Hypocrite who's making videos advocating for this shit.
Yeah, while saying that. What's funny is that he was saying iDubbbz was advocating for something, but he wasn't. He was just stating what he was cool with in his relationship. But in reverse, it was Hypocrite who was stating what he should do and trying to tell him what to do, as opposed to just saying what he's cool with or not. You know,
you got to remember where Chance is from too. So
Yeah.
that's more common in that area because there is nothing out there, Chance.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But it seems to be a thing that's more popular now. I mean, when we were young, Grant, do you remember, like, if we were young and we were in our early 20s, everything was about getting gashed, right? Like, that's all it was about.
Yeah, dude.
That's all it was about. Like, dude, let's just fucking get laid. And then eventually, you know, you get older and that's not your main priority anymore, right? But at that time, it was. And you weren't ashamed of saying that. Like, you were just like, dude, I like having sex. I want to hook up with chicks. Some people did shame girls about it. That is true. But I never did. I wasn't one of those big people who were like, that chick's a slut because she likes to have sex. You know, it was like I said, when I was in high school, I already had that distinction of what I thought a slut was and wasn't, you know, and other people were using it differently than I thought, but that's the way I viewed it because I'm raised in America. I believe in liberty, freedom, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think people are free to do those things if they want to.
I think you just hit something there. We're talking about what the definitions of these words are, you know, like, the definition of slut that we knew was the chick going around banging other dudes. A lot at
for
one time.
attention, for the wrong reasons or for the wrong intentions. Either they're doing it for attention or to gain something, you know, from that person or manipulation, whatever it may be.
Right, but in this particular sense, we're talking about a girl who's only with one guy, as we know of right now, that has put some provocative pictures on
non-nude
OnlyFans.
Non-nude,
and not even
provocative photos.
And then
he's a cuck for letting her do that. Weird.
Well, if he's a cuck, he's not getting laid. But yet, I think the man's getting his.
Yeah.
So you can't just start redefining words just because you feel like it.
Yeah, but that's what keeps happening. A lot of these people doing. Happening. They keep broadening the term. You know what I'm saying? They just keep broadening it until it becomes an umbrella term that covers an entire thing. You know, instead of just being a specific thing. Yeah. Now I think a cuck is just somebody who bends their will to their significant other, but people also are just assuming people are bending their will when they're doing things they don't agree with. They might just be compromising or, you know, or like I said, weighing out their happiness, or maybe they truly don't care. And they're like, no, this doesn't change my happiness at all if you do that. So go ahead. Like I said, there was that one part where they were talking about her joining someone else's host squad or something. And they were like, well, then why did you, him, LP and Brittany Venti both made shit saying, well, then why did you tell her not to do that? And I was like, well, why didn't you think that he was saying it's better to go into business for yourself doing that as opposed to joining a group, you know? Like there's multiple things it could be. There's multiple possibilities. You're just making up a reason for him. And he really doesn't, and it's really, again, none of your business why he told her that. That's between him and his girlfriend. It's nobody's business. So he has no obligation to answer people's questions about that. If you want to make up shit, just know that you're making up shit. You don't you have no proof of that. It's just an anecdote. Not really, it's a speculative fiction, really. All right, I think we should.
These fucking kids are nuts.
Oh yeah.
And I notice it's majority of like young 20-somethings that they should be fucking slaying gash at every turn.
Yeah, this is the time. Your 20s is the time to gain your experience in sexual activity, you know, and learn about it.
If you're not slaying gash, maybe it's something. Maybe you know, to change your appearance. You know. change your attitude, type of car you drive, whatever, you know, do what. In the 20s, if we had a chance to get a nice car, it wasn't for us. It was to fucking try to land chicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was then.
I also see the thing that, like, I think a problem with divorce rates also, and I think people try to blind themselves to this, is that sometimes people rush to get married. Well, maybe they haven't been together long enough to know if they can spend the rest of their lives together.
And that's actually like my biggest like opposition towards the whole trad life thing.
Is rushing to get married so you can have sex.
Well, not just that. It's you know, you got the people that say, you know, well, I'm saving myself for marriage, or we can't live together until we're married. You know, living in sin.
Yeah, that's terrible.
You know,
to not live together.
Yeah, how do you know? Yeah, how do you know if you can actually stand this person for
24
fucking
hours a day?
You know,
every day.
You know, for a marriage, if you can't stand 24 hours with them under the same roof.
Yeah.
So that's why you do the whole moving in together and all that shit to see if you can.
On top of
that's one of the biggest things about marriage.
And it's even something that takes a long time to discover how to live together, regardless.
Yeah,
you know, like forever.
It just doesn't happen.
No,
and plus, like, if
it's a long time of fighting,
you want to be stuck with this same piece of ass, if it sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If she's bad in bed, do you want to really stay with that?
And again, that's the life for some people. For some people, it's not. Some people just, you know, never want to settle down. Some people just want to, you know, switch out partners all the time, you know.
But they talk about being truly happy in the trad life, but I know a ton of these trad life marriages, they're not truly happy because they are unsatisfied.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about with the 50s.
And it's
like
not even just in bed, it's just how they live their life.
Yeah, how they live their lives.
They're unsatisfied.
Or some people just want to do something different at some point. You know, you can marry somebody at 25, and by the time they're 35, they could be like, you know what, I want to be a nurse, you know, or I want to travel to this place. Let's go. Yeah. And if you don't want to go, you know, that's going to make her unhappy. You know what I'm saying? And her going is going to make you unhappy. So you have to find a balance here. Like, that's what happens. You can't just end the marriage.
You know, I want to ask LP, say with his relationship, say before they met that she was going to nursing school, but you know, now that they're together, he makes enough money where she doesn't have to. So they live that life for a little while, and say about 8 years down the road, she says, you know what, I want to go back and finish it.
Yeah.
I want to go back and finish this. I want to become a nurse. I want to help people. Like, you know, this whole thing going on right now has inspired her to want to go back and do that.
Yeah, maybe.
Would that be a big issue?
I think an idea it wouldn't be, but if you think about it deeper, then it's like, well, I'm going to have less time to cook for you. I'm going to have less time to clean for you. You know, we're not going to have the time to have sex when we want to at the same time, you know, because now our schedules are going to be completely different, you know.
But that's the compromise that we all have made in our relationships.
Exactly. Is that the end of the relationship for him, or will he cuck to her?
Right.
But I mean, he'll say it's not a big deal because there's no dignity being lost here. We're talking about dignity, but like I said, your dignity is your dignity. It's different for every person. You know, it's not the same.
Well, that's the thing. In yours and my eyes, whatever decision they make is their decision. That we have no fucking stake in it.
Yeah.
But it's the whole thing of, if he saw that with anybody else, and if one of us said, no, you can't go back to school, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be douchey.
He'll be like, fuck yeah, man, you tell her, you put her in the, you know, is he going to like that?
Yeah, then now she's going to have to see, she's going to have to balance whether her happiness is going to make her leave because she really wants to be a nurse, so she might leave the relationship, and then he might end the relationship because that's so much unhappiness from her going and working and not cleaning up for him. Yeah. Or doing what she wants to make her happy. I mean, I see it both ways. It's the thing. It seems like he doesn't see relationships as being both ways. I see relationship as being, you know, two people.
It's one of those things. A relationship is like it's like a long time friendship, really. Mm-hmm. Because you still have that give or take. You still have those days where you're pissed off at them. Those days that you're not. You know. Are you willing to call that person your best friend?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Your partner that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, working together
to
build a life together.
You know, you don't take on the world saying, hey, I'm going to take on the world and she's going to be by my side. No, it's you two are going to take on the world together. You can't do it apart. You have to do it together. You know, that's
Or is it just
that is
selfishness? Like a person who wants their life to be this way and they're not willing to bend. So they put that mentality out there. They're not willing to bend within any relationship. So
I don't know, to have
because
that,
it's about them.
to
They don't
want that
care about
type
the
of
other person's happiness. It's all about them, right?
yeah.
That's what it
Well,
seems like.
the one to want that type of fucking control. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that'd be pretty boring.
Yeah. But then it leads their ideology, right? So now he thinks that men
Yeah.
should be the one who are the main part of the relationship. Men should be the ones being made happy by the woman. But that's because that's his personal selfishness, because he wants that. But you know, the way to get that is to spread that message and tell everyone, yeah, this is the way it is. This is what makes people happy because it makes me happy.
Well, that's the thing. You gotta be able to. Can you live up to be that guy? Because right now, as the rest of us see him, he's not that guy. He's not that knight in shining armor. He's not that.
I would be clear. I don't think LP's a bad dude. Like, you know, he's not.
Personally, I don't have an issue with him.
I don't think he's an asshole or a bad dude. I just don't like that how he confronts.
I think he's
these
wrong.
issues. Yeah.
I mean, but
yeah,
no,
I think he's
personally,
wrong, and I don't like how he
issue.
confronts these issues, like how confident
Yeah.
he is in this. I don't think he's overconfident for something that he's not, shouldn't be this sure of. Like, there's not enough evidence and stuff like that, and how much variety there is in there. Like, how sure is he that every man is happier if their woman is, you know, making them happy, if that's the focus of the relationship? How do you know? I would like to make my woman happy if I had a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to make her happy, and that would make me happy.
Yeah. Sometimes you make each other happy by leaving each other the fuck alone.
Yeah, sometimes it's like that, and knowing the
You know,
times you both need to have alone time and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
that's important. But there was something indicative of what I was saying about religion and cultishness when he was talking about sacred. Remember that part? He was like, "Oh, is nothing sacred anymore?" And it was like, "What sacred?"
Well, even then,
things that are sacred is subjective again now. If you don't have a god, right? And I would assume he's an atheist, right?
Right.
So
But even then,
if you don't have a god, then sacredness is individuals. You know, individuals make.
Well, sacred or anything sacred like the sacrum is subjective. It's one of those. It's he made it sound like that she was, you know, and iDubbbz pointed out that, you know, like she's showing her snatch, which can consider to be sacred, but she didn't. So there's no what's the word? Something being sacred. There's none of that lost.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I'm eating a cookie. But yeah, let's end this stream. I think we've said everything that needs to be said. We're just dragging on, I think.
Yeah.